look, we might just get started, guys. So thanks for coming along. Like I said, the reason why I wanted to put this together, and I was having a chat to, Chistan and Gibbo about it last week, and we've been playing the game since for a few months at this point, and we've really enjoyed it, and really think it's a game that has potential. It's got legs. It's doing a lot of good things. So want to share that feeling with as many people as possible, and as a result, other people have, approached myself or in, a group chat and said they wanted to get involved as well, or they've, come and watched us play on a Friday night and said that's something a little bit different. Why not give it a try? So that's what the purpose of tonight is. So we're just going to give you guys a little bit of a showcase about what the game is, why we think it's a good game, look at the cards themselves and how sort of the gameplay comes together. And then we'll finish off with a couple of games at the end, which will be playing via TTS. So the first point is why. Why should you pick up a new trading card game? TCGs aren't cheap, and it's a big commitment to invest in a new one. Even any money you spend, you think about critically whether it's a good thing or not. And we really think it is a really good game. So we wanted to tell you some reasons why. First up point really talks about, so the company behind this is a New Zealand company called Legend Story Studios. One of my main draws was that LSS are guys that have been, primarily playing Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh for years and years, right? So they're players, first and foremost, as opposed to, a company that's trying to make money. And I think that's a really important distinction to have, that as the driver behind wanting to create a game. These are people that, you see a lot of the time in TCGs, people try to slap like intellectual property, some kind of IP, over the years, a DBS or a Final Fantasy on a card game, and you're never sure if it's actually good or how much of it the drive is just like the fandom coming because they want to interact with that, that intellectual property. So the good thing about Fab is that Fab was really created as a card game. It's built from scratch. They've built the lore and everything for the purpose of being a really good competitive game, right? And a fun game too. There's definitely some casual elements of it as well. But for the most part, we've seen sort of the competitive side of things and what they're trying to create for the game. And another good reason is they're really trying to get people into local game stores. I think there's been a drive lately to go digital with COVID, and so I sort of feel a little bit sorry for these guys to some extent. Launching this in 2019 and then going into COVID the very next year. But the promising thing is that the game has not only survived but thrived during that point. Was originally just I think from a card producing perspective, there was a Belgium distributor. Now the game's launched there's a US distributor and then an Asia Pacific distributor as well. So people want the product and they're buying it. And they're keen to play as well. Next point really talks about there's a dedicated OP system. So I'm sure I can speak for many of you sort of in the chat here. We love the PPTQ system that Magic had to offer. We love qualifying for RPTQs, going to Nats in Canberra, things of that nature, right? So that was sort of like my favourite part about playing Magic. And Flesh and Blood sort of is picking up to an extent what Magic is sort of transitioned a little bit away from. I'm sure Magic's going to come back to it eventually, but for now they sort of went away from it, and Flesh and Blood sort of said, oh hey, we can offer this to you guys, right? So that's something I found really exciting, and I'm not sure if you've seen, I probably should have included it in this pack actually. There's a really good diagram about what their organised play system looks like, and it's basically, there's the bottom tier events, which is just like your local F&M type equivalents, which are called armories. And then there's some, the next level up is what they call a skirmish, which is sort of like, probably like a game day if I had to make it equate to something, right? And then from there you have qualifiers for nationals. So at the moment we're in the Road to Nationals phase, which I don't think we'll get to have one in Melbourne, unfortunately, due to COVID, but we're seeing that pop up all over the world, which is really good to see. And then there'll be PPTQ type events. The one that we went to that Gibbo actually top 8'd was a Pro Tour qualifier. And then at the very top tier, there's going to be nationals itself and then calling events. So calling are like the equivalent to a Grand Prix or a Magic Fest, I think they're called now. And then at the very, very top, there's going to be the Pro Tour and the World Champs, which is something to strive towards as well. Next point, I guess it's more of a personal one for me. This might not be, why everyone wants to play a game, right? But I really like the fantasy flavor of things. I'm someone who likes to read a lot of fantasy books and consume fantasy content, movies and series and whatnot. So to me, the ability to pick up a sword or pick up a staff or wield the bow, get the daggers out and be a ninja, and each of those classes really bring with them their own sort of unique play style, which I think is really, really cool. And that was something that drew me to the game initially. Next point is just about the gameplay. There's just at first it can actually seem a little bit overwhelming, the amount of decisions you have to make every turn. But I also think that makes it really an exciting part of the game as well. And if you're sort of a spiky player and you want to do well, you'll find a love for the game there, just in the ability to make a lot of very good decisions every game, and that's probably just going to win you games off the back of that. It's also a pretty low variance game as well. There's not really, there are some exceptions, but there's not really a board state in Fab. It's really a lot about tempo and how much you're willing to let your opponent do their game plan versus how much you want to enact your game plan in terms of trying to strip tempo or cards away from them or deal damage to them, right? So I think the game does a really good job of sort of emulating that one-on-one fight between, a warrior and a wizard, and they're trying to duck and weave and fight each other, and at the end of the day, only one of them's going to be standing, right? And then there's artwork, which is, one for me. I picked this iconic image on the left, which is Fëandral's Spring Tunic, a very powerful card and a very beautiful card, I think. And there's a lot of instances in the game where I'm just mesmerized by, I don't know where LSS, Legend Story Studios, get their artists from, but yeah, I'm constantly blown away by some of the art they put out in this game, and it's really, really quite different to a lot of other TCGs out there at the moment. I might just say as well, guys, feel free to just jump in with questions. I'm happy if you guys want to disrupt my flow and jump in. Otherwise, we can have some question time at the end if you just want to note it down, and then we'll get to it at the end. So that was why to play the game. Now I want to get into a little bit more about the game itself and what the cards look like. So I'll sort of be approaching this as if, I know maybe some of you have said that you've looked at Blitz decks so far. I'm sort of going to be approaching this as if you're just looking at the card game for the first time here, right? So first and foremost, what you need to play is the hero. The hero is the centerpiece of your deck. They're what you build your deck around. If you're a warrior hero, you can only play warrior and generic cards in your deck. So that's your deck's identity, and you're really sort of in the shoes of that hero and wanting to sort of enact your game plan as that hero. So I've got two images of the hero Dorinthia here. Dorinthia is a warrior hero. The reason why there is a 20 health version and a 40 health version is that the young heroes for the game are used in the limited formats of Draft and Sealed, and the adults, and as well as the constructed format Blitz, whereas the adult heroes are sort of for Classic Constructed, which is the premier format for the game. From a card balance perspective, cards are balanced for Draft, Sealed, and Classic Constructed. Blitz was sort of something that LSS came up with in 2020, so sort of midway through last year, as a way to get quick webcam games essentially going online, because most of the world was still in lockdown, obviously, and this is a game wanting people to play in the Flesh and Blood, and they made a concession that maybe people can't play in the Flesh and Blood right now, so let's give them an opportunity to at least play the game, even if it's over TTS, even if it's over webcam, just get people playing the game, right? And so that's sort of where the Blitz format came about. So it's sort of like a faster paced version of the game. But for me, and I can speak for a few other boys on the call as well, that Classic Constructed is really, really where this game shines. So in terms of some keywords or some key parts of the cards, there's the hero ability. This can be a passive ability, this can be an active ability, and in some instances it's both. And Gibbo's a hero later on, he's playing a light warrior hero, has an instance of both an active ability and something that's passive, that's conditional to be turned on during the turn. So what's in the bottom left corner here is the intellect. So this is your hand size, meaning in Flesh and Blood, unless it's the first turn of the game where both players draw up to their starting intellect. From there on out, it's only the active player at the end of their turn that will draw back up to their intellect. So let's say I'm playing Dorinthia and I do maybe an attack, and that leaves me with 1 card in hand. That means at the end of my turn, I'm going to draw back up to 3 cards. The next part that you don't want to enter battle without is your weapon. So each hero begins the game with a weapon of their choice in play. At the moment, there is a pretty decent pool of weapons in the game, but they're mainly designed to fit sort of one hero's playstyle. So while there may be multiple warrior weapons in this instance, the hero Dorinthia that I showcased on the slide before is looking to leverage Dawnblade because that's the sort of card that fits in best with Dorinthia's passive ability. So a hero can only equip a weapon if it's of that class type or is generic. So Dorinthia is only going to be able to equip the warrior weapon. She's not going to be able to pick up one of the ninja swords or a wizard staff or a ranger bow, etc. Weapons are good because you start the game with the weapon next to your hero, and they're sort of a reliable source of repeat damage that you can leverage throughout the game. Another card, I guess, that stays in play at the start of the game and continues with your hero are equipment. There's 4 types of equipment in the game. You start with a head piece, a chest piece, an arm piece, and a leg piece. So I've included a couple of examples here. One's a very simple one called the Iron Rod Helm. As you can see here, Iron Rod Helm, not much text on it. It says if you defend with it, you destroy it when the combat chain closes, and it blocks for 1. So this is just a common one that was included in the starter decks. Very simple equipment. And then you get onto some of the more interesting mechanics, which really drive you towards card games. And that's so this one I pulled here is the Teklo Foundry Heart, which has an active ability you can use once per turn. And don't worry about these keywords, I'm going to get into them in a little bit. This one has a different ability. So while the Iron Rod Helm has Blade Break, meaning if you defend with it, it's gone, goes to the graveyard. This one has a Battle Worn, meaning you can, if you block with it, you put a little counter on it, and you can block with it again until you've exhausted its block value, and then it just sits there, and you can just keep using its active ability, right? So like I've said here, they can be used to block, or if they have a once-off reusable ability, often they have the Battle Worn text so that you can get value out of them as the game goes on. So here's a more standard card, which are going to form the bulk of the deck. So these are the ones that you shuffle up, you put to the side, your opponent cuts them. These are the bread and butter of your deck, right? And they're broken down into a few sections. So I'll start from the top. In the top left, this is the resource system of Fab. So as you can see here, cards are very, very modal. This card's Surging Strike. It's a very vanilla card. All it says is an attack that allows you to go again, which I'll get to in a minute. But you can do many, many things with this card. You can pitch it for its pitch value, which is its resource cost. In Flesh and Blood, there are red, yellow, and blue cards that pitch respectively for 1, 2, and 3 resources. As you can see here on red Surging Strike, there's 1 resource coloured in, so it means you would pitch it for 1. Then there's the cost on the right-hand side, which is how much the card costs to play, right? So if I had a hand left, let's say I blocked my opponent with 2 cards, and I was left with, let's say, 2 red Surging Strikes in hand, I wouldn't have the resources to cast the Surging Strike because I'd only be able to pitch my 1 Surging Strike for red, and I'd have insufficient resources to cast that Surging Strike, right? I would need to have 2 or more to be able to cast this card. Moving into the bottom left, we have the power value. So this is really how hard the card hits. This is only relevant for attack actions. Not every action you play is an attack on the opponent. Some do different and more interesting things, right? And then correspondingly on the right-hand side in the bottom here is the block value. So how much it protects you, right? So Surging Strike blocks for 2. And then the 5th point is what the card actually does. It wouldn't be a very exciting game if it was just a bunch of arithmetic, right? Cards actually do interesting and cool things. So Surging Strike lets you go again, right? So I'll get to this in a little bit when I explain the game itself, I guess. But essentially, sort of, I don't know, if some of you guys have played the game Dominion, you have one action a turn, and unless you have a way of getting more actions, that's, you can just do one thing for the turn, right? Flesh and Blood's similar in that way, unless a card says go again on it, or you have an ability to gain an extra action point, you can only do one thing with your action point that turn. As I've sort of said here, there's 3 different resource or pitch costs, right? And the interesting thing about how they've balanced Flesh and Blood is most cards have a color cycle. So there's red through blue. The basic trade-off is red cards are the most powerful iteration of the card at the cost of being the most resource inefficient. Yellow is sort of a mix of both in terms of, as you can see here, yellow Surging Strike only hits for 4, but it does pitch for 2. And then the blue cards are the least powerful, so blue Surging Strike only hits for 3, but it does pitch for 3, so it's going to enable you to fuel a turn if you're going to look to do more things. As you sort of get into the game a little bit more, balancing that sort of color cycle in your deck building is really interesting, because you can't have a deck that's just full of reds, because you're going to have all gas but no ability to play it. And if you have conversely a deck full of blues, then you're going to have resources galore, but you're really not threatening anything that impressive, right? So next I'm going to talk about some of the card types. What I've included here are just some samples. There actually is more, but I just wanted to provide a brief overview of what are some of the different cards that are in Flesh and Blood. So some card types are actions themselves. As I mentioned before in the previous card here, Surging Strike is an attack action, much like Enlightened Strike here. There are also attack reactions, defense reactions, instants, and there's a few more card types, but these are the more common ones, so I just wanted to elaborate that for the purposes of today's presentation and gameplay. So I'm not going to run through each of these cards and what they do, but you'll start to notice some keywords that are reappearing. Go again is one of the fundamental parts of Flesh and Blood, because if you could just play one thing a turn and pass to your opponent, that's not very exciting. It's when you get to leverage cards that have go again or get you another action point or draw a card. I think that's where we as card game players get to be excited, where we can put together combinations and sequences of things that enable us to do really powerful stuff. So just a quick, I'll just grab a drink, my voice is failing me. Thanks guys. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to go over is just the basics of how to play the game. So this isn't a technical walkthrough, but just from my perspective of what you would need to get started when you're playing a game. So obviously, as I said, you start the game with the hero, weapon, and equipment in play, and you begin the game with cards equal to your hero's intellect. For the most part, that's just 4. 4 has sort of been the magic number there. Legend Story Studios have been experimenting in the Blitz format when they released one of the supplementary sets. Some heroes have 3 intellect, or they have less starting life, just the way of an extra lens of balancing things, which is pretty exciting too. Like I said, you have 1 action per turn. You can get around this by playing cards with Go Again, or ways of gaining additional action points. When you play a card that does not have Go Again, your turn ends after it resolves. In terms of playing cards, like I said, you pitch the card face up into there's a designated pitch zone to pay for the card, and at the end, those resources will persist throughout the whole turn. There's not a concept of main phase 1, combat phase, main phase 2. If you pitch something, it's going to last until the end of turn, which is really quite handy because it persists. It allows you to do things with them in later phases, whether that's a combat trick or playing an instant later, which doesn't use up an action point. And then at the end of the turn, those pitch cards are returned to the bottom of the deck in an order of your choice. There's a first turn of the game rule. It's interesting. I've played a lot of games of Flesh and Blood now, and I'm still not. It's not so black and white about whether it's best to go first or second, which I think is a really, really interesting thing. It depends on the deck you're playing, what you're trying to achieve, and it also depends on what your opponent's doing. Generally, it's interesting. So because at this, I'll explain what the rule does first. So at the end of the very first turn of the game, both players draw up to their starting intellect. And then after that, it's only the active player that draws up. So in essentially the person who's defending on that very first turn sort of gets free blocks because it's the only opportunity in the game where they, as the defending player, will be able to throw out blocks and then draw back up at the end of the turn, meaning they get the first real go at tempo of stripping cards from their opponent's hand. But there's also really important things to go in first as well. You can use it to set up an arsenal card, which I'll talk about soon. You can use it to put out, generate some tokens if you're playing sort of like a token strategy, or you're creating something, right? And you might not even give your opponent the opportunity to filter their hand if you choose to do so. So for me, that's been one of the really cool draws about the game too. Just deciding, it's not, in Magic, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 on my Elves deck, I'm going first. I'm putting Elvish Mystic on the battlefield, right? It's pretty simple. Flesh and Blood is a lot more nuanced than that, which I found really interesting. How to play. So the combat step. So essentially combat is made up of what they call chain links. So a chain link is where I've just declared an attack at you, and then we go through the following phases. So if I've declared an attack, I might have played that Surging Strike against you. It moves to the defending player to defend with cards from hand. That's where they have the block value in the bottom right-hand corner there. So you can defend with your armor or your cards from hand, and you declare it all simultaneously at the same time. So I might want to, let's say if I'm blocking a card that hits for 5, I might use this Lunging Press here that blocks for 2, and then maybe a card that blocks for 3. And then it passes into a reaction window where the active player can play attack reactions or instants, and the defending player can play defense reactions or instants during that phase. If the attacking player has an additional action point or go again, then they move on to chain link 2, and so on and so forth. At the end of the turn, the combat chain closes, and all cards on the combat chain, which is all the chain links put together, so imagine a linked chain, all those cards go to the graveyard or back to their respective zones if there were equipment that was blocked with or weapons that we used to attack. There's a really interesting zone in Flesh and Blood that's not really in many other TCGs, which is, it's what they refer to it as the arsenal. So it's essentially an additional zone underneath your hero, which you can sort of use to put a card there to use, not right away, but at a future turn. So what you can really look to do is set up for a big turn later. So there's a concept of Flesh and Blood of trying to achieve a 5-card hand, because most of the heroes have 4 intellect, right? So what you can do with the arsenal is, if you're looking to set up something big, what you can do is really pressure your opponent that turn. Let's say you strip 3 cards out of their hand, and then you're able to put 1 card in your arsenal. Your opponent's probably not going to be coming back your way with much damage. So you've drawn up to 4 at the end of your turn, meaning when it comes back to you, you've got access to a 5-card hand. So it's your 4 cards with your starting intellect. And then it's also your arsenal card there. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with 5 cards in Fab. You can only play cards from your arsenal. So once the card is in the arsenal at the end of the turn, you can't pitch with it. You can't defend with it unless it's a defense reaction. So you can only play the card to the chain, right? So that's a sort of a way to maybe balance how effective and just raw efficient. Like there's some cards you really don't want to get stuck with your arsenal. Let's say it's a blue card where you're just primarily looking to pitch it to generate resources. Not really something you want to get stuck there. But things like defense reactions and instants and attack reactions, or just big cards that you want to leverage on another turn, are really good candidates for the arsenal. So like I said, it's both used tactically, sort of on a micro level within a turn cycle, but also strategically, you might be building up towards a really big combo on a later turn, where that 5th card is going to be pivotal to your strategy. Only 1 card can be in the arsenal at any given time. You have to clear that card to be able to play something else. So, how to play a typical turn cycle? So I guess I would equate this to like the upkeep. There's start of turn triggers for some cards where you add a counter or perform an action. You then proceed to utilize the 1 action point you have to play a card. The attacking player attacks or does some kind of action. Defending player usually interacts with that via blocking or playing an instant or something of their own. Once the active players run out of actions, turn ends when both players pass priority. And the active player passes the turn and can select to put a card into their arsenal and draw back up their intellect. So the standard turn cycle is pretty simple in that essence. So Obviously, this is I'm just trying to make this as layman terms as possible. You know, I'm sure if you watched the video, looked up the technical rulings, there's going to be some language that I maybe could have used, but this is just me trying to break it down and make it as simple as possible. So, I know I went through a lot there, and I think there's no better way of learning than actually diving in and seeing some games. So we're going to put everything that we've learned so far into action and observe some Flesh and Blood games. So we're going to be playing 2 games today, and we're going to be doing that via the Tabletop Simulator app. We have Joel's going to be piloting Boltyn, the Light Warrior hero, who just came out in the Monarch set. And Dan's going to be playing Katsu, who's the ninja hero, who's one of the OG 4 heroes in Welcome to Wraith. After Gibbo and Dan finish their games, I'm going to be taking the reins of Prism, who's my personal favourite hero. She's an illusionist hero that just came out in Monarch. And Chiz is also going to be playing Rhinar, who's a brute hero that came out in Welcome to Wraith, so one of the OG heroes too. This is meant to have some text. Oh, there it is. So before I jump in, guys, I just wanted to have the opportunity to have any Q&A with, if there's any burning questions off the bat, happy to answer them now. Or otherwise, what we're going to be doing is Gibbo and Dan are going to give a quick rundown of what they're playing, what their hero is trying to achieve, and what they're trying to look to do in the matchup. And then they're going to go to a separate channel, and Chiz and I are going to provide some running commentary over the top, and happy to ask any newbie questions. But I guess before we do that, is there any burning questions people want to ask now?
It's one question that I've got, because I've read, I've been reading articles and stuff like that. But in terms of, let's say that we want to get into Flesh and Blood, right? How important are, those expensive cards, those Enlightened Strikes, Findle's Sprint Tunic, and stuff like that? If I don't want to go all the way in, and spend $1,000 on making that first deck, how competitive is something that's not quite, completely optimized?
That's a really good question, Joey. I might throw that to one of the boys while I have a drink quickly. If I know Gibbo or Dan want to have a go at that one.
Yeah, I can tackle that.
Yeah.
Look, it is quite important to compete at the top level.
Mm-hmm.
So if you rolled up to a premier event with lesser equipment, that's where you're going to get punished, because at the end game of Flesh and Blood, it really does come down to the smallest things, and that is you're going to lose an edge in that department. That being said, there are quite a few pieces of low-cost equipment and low-cost replacement cards in decks that do a pretty good impression of the expensive cards. So at a lower level, you can definitely get away with it and still have fun, real games.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to play at the highest level, I would highly suggest investing. But it's also something you can do down the line when you get a better feel for the game and see if it's for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also add that equipment is more important to spend your money on, because it's something you start every game with. So you're guaranteed to have it in every single game. And a lot of the equipment carries over to different heroes.
Yeah.
Tunic is used in every single hero almost.
And to add to Chiz's point, the good thing about an equipment, you only need one of it, right? Sometimes I've dished out money on a playset of a Cavern of Souls in Magic, and that's set me back a couple hundred too. Because I need 4 of that card. The good thing about the equipment, while it is powerful, yes, you do use it every game. It's always there. You do only need one of it. So, if it's like is that a way of justifying a $100 card? Maybe, maybe not. But, that's sort of how I sort of justified some of my purchases in the game. And I think that, to add to Gibbo's point as well, yes, there are it's a very much an incremental game of building up towards something and eking out advantages over your opponents. That's like what I said on the very first slide. The good players in this game, they keep on winning, regardless of if they have the same equipment or not, right? So I think there's ways to leverage your player skill, which you can use to offset the fact that you may not have sort of the top tier equipment. Yes, you will sort of be at a disadvantage on paper, but player skill comes to this game so much. If you had a 50-50 matchup, let's say, and it's, one of the best players in the world versus also another really good player, yes, there's going to be 50-50, and I know that's true for most games, but also at the high level, there's also players that are so much better than the other players in this game. There's, a couple of examples of New Zealand players who are just completely dominant, and they're not playing against scrubs either. The New Zealanders are the ones to beat in this game. They've all got the same set of equipment, but there's just, one, two, or three players that are they've just sort of got something, and then they've just sort of got a knack for playing the game, and they've been able to execute and win tournaments as a result. So, obviously, so equipment, it's really good to have it, but not the end of the world if you don't. And if I'd say it's more important to get the reps in and become a stronger player.
Yeah, also more important on some heroes than others.
Yeah, definitely. Some equipment is pivotal to a hero's sort of how you want to enact your strategy. Sometimes it's just an armor that blocks for one more, So sometimes it's not that important.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks.
No, cheers, Joey. Any other questions, guys?
You mentioned there actually you only have one of each equipment. What's the limit for deck building on duplicates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I probably should have talked about some of that stuff. Thanks, Ian. So I guess I'll go to the closest slide, which is just what I've got for equipment here. So in terms of equipment, like I said, you have one of each equipment slot. So you have a headpiece, a chest piece, something like a gauntlets for your arms, and then a leg or a foot piece, depending on what the artwork is, right? In terms of how a game is structured, so you begin the game with... Actually, maybe it's a good idea to go to TTS in this instance. I might just exit the presentation. Tell me if you guys can see my screen now with the game state. Yep, cool. Do you guys just want to flip over your equipment and weapons, please? Sweet as. So, like I said, begin the game with your hero in play. Your weapon, you can see Gibbo's got a two-hander, as opposed to Dan, who's using two one-handers. And then the 4 equipment in play here, I'll go over them soon, just to answer Ian's question. In terms of deck building, 60 card minimum. You actually pre-board in this game, which is interesting. So for Classic Constructed, you register a total of 80 cards. So as you can see here, your hero's not included, so Gibbo's got a 60 card deck, 15 card sideboard, 4 equipment, and 1 weapon. So that makes 80 cards, and then the hero is the 81st card, right? In terms of limits, it's a 3-card cap. But the interesting thing as well about that is if you saw the Surging Strike slide of the presentation, you can actually play 9 cards effectively because, Gibbo's being a good lad here and getting out a card cycle. So this is a powerful card in Boltyn, Take Flight. I'll go over for the purposes of this demonstration. So pitches for 1, the red version, costs 1 to play. As additional cost to Take Flight, you may charge your hero's soul, which is a mechanic that's exclusive to Boltyn to enable his passive ability and his attack reaction, not his attack reaction, just his passive ability. You can play 3 reds, 3 yellows, and 3 blues. So in total, are you playing the full 9, Gibbo? Yeah. So Gibbo's playing effectively 9 copies of Take Flight, which is, almost a sixth of his deck there, right? That's, it's only in very rare cases, though, that so Take Flight is a very, very powerful card that you want all 9 copies of, just because it's so important. It gives natural go again to Gibbo's attack, so it allows him to go really wide. And it also is an enabler to charge a card to put into his soul. Normally that Boltyn reads, normally you put the card under the hero's soul, but for this instances, we're just going to be putting cards over here to demonstrate it's in the soul. So in terms of deck building constraints, there's also legendaries, Ian. So there's a card that specifically says on it, legendary, which in Magic might be only 1 on the battlefield at every given time. In Flesh and Blood, only 1 in your deck.
I guess it's also worth noting that you can register more than 1 chess piece, and you can change it out depending on the matchup, or head or.
So you could. That's a good point, Chis. So when you're registering your 80, I'm not quite sure what the best way to do it is, to be honest. I've just gone from a Magic perspective, and like Gibbo sort of has here. He's got, Gibbo's got his 60 cards here, and he had a 15 card sideboard, which is obviously moved in and out. I've sort of gone with the deck building approach of a core deck and then a sideboard. But maybe you just want to jam 80 cards together in Flesh and Blood and just take cards out for the matchup. Like it's. I don't think there's
play
any
80
rule.
cards now, and I take out the worst 15. Like I play 75 cards effectively, and I take out the worst 15 in any given matchup. That's how I do it now.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and I think, I've always been someone that really likes the net deck. I'll play the most powerful version of a deck that I can, steal from someone else who's done well. It's a lot harder to do that in Fab. Because what happens with Fab is, you register an 80 card deck, right? If I go and look at, the MTG Goldfish equivalent, I don't know what the 80 card deck does. I don't know what its core is. I don't know what its sideboard cards is, because you don't register a sideboard. You register an 80 card deck. And I think that's where deck building is really leveraged as a key skill in this game, more than other card games, because I'm not going to be able to pick up that 80 card Prism deck that, I've copied from the number one player in New Zealand or whatever, and pilot it as effectively as I might be able to make some inferences about what they bring into certain matchups and what they don't. But other than that, I'm sort of flying blind. I've got 80 cards. I might be playing a card in a certain matchup that the player who put the deck together may not have. So it's sort of like a little bit of secret tech in a way there. Yes, your deck is publicly available online, but how have you constructed it? What are you bringing in for certain matchups and whatnot, right? So I think that's where deck building as a skill is really highly leveraged in this game, and a skill I'm going to have to build because, like I said, I've been more of a net decker typically, but you really have to think critically about what's in your deck. Any other questions, guys? Ian, do you want to carry on?
I was just going to say, so like, you register 80 plus the hero, but then you play with 60 or minimum 60 plus the hero, right?
Correct.
At what point do you take out the 15 cards? And if it's before the match, does that make scouting a huge part of the game?
That's a really good question. Do you guys want to flip your
How do you know which cards to take it?
Yeah, no, exactly. So
I can probably field that one if you want. So basically, you sit down at your chair, and then the beginning of the match is kind of you sit down and you throw your hero onto the board like this. So basically, you give the information to your opponent that you're playing, the hero that you're playing. Now, the interesting thing about Fab is that there are heroes with multiple types of decks. So in Katsu, for instance, you can play a really control-heavy deck, or you can play a really aggro-heavy deck. So that provides another level of complexity. From there, basically, you can pre-board. So you take out your cards as you wish and put them, wherever, put them back in your deck box or whatever. And at the same time, you unload. Well, you don't have to unload them on the board, but most people will unload them face down. Purely because in this matchup, if I sat down with this flipped up, I would immediately give my opponent the information that I was playing the control variant of Katsu, which may impact the way that they sideboard. So keeping all of that information hidden as much as possible kind of makes for an interesting start to the game. At this point, you then basically roll to see who goes first, and then whoever, you make the choice. Well, when I say who goes first, whoever makes the choice to go first or second, at which point you'll then obviously cut each other's deck and flip your equipment and weapons.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Thank you for
scouting
that,
the room is very important.
Scouting is a big thing. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially for that, like Dan said, he gave a really good summary. You show hero, roll dice, sideboard, and then flip the rest of your cards. So really the information you're working with is what the enemy hero is. Doesn't mean, and then some of the strategy works into in this meta, is anyone still playing Katsu control? I've seen a lot of aggro lately, so I'm going to board for aggro. Maybe I'll hedge my bets a little bit and bring in some more aggressive cards if he's on a control variant. So, because then once you've done all your sideboard, you present, that's when you guys flip up what equipment and what you're working with there.
Is it best of 3?
It's best of 1.
Best of 1.
Okay.
So yeah, it's almost like the sideboard is a pre-board, and yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I haven't seen many games go to 50 minutes actually, but I certainly don't think you could play a best of 3 in 50 minutes. That's for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Distance games go to 50 minutes.
What's that, sorry? Jesus goes. Yeah.
Like, you'll notice, like, when you start playing, you'll notice your turns take you forever.
Yeah.
But they do speed up once you get the rhythm.
Yeah. I remember Gibbo and I bought like the Welcome to Wraith decks. I think even before May, we just sort of bought a couple of the Blitz decks just to play against each other. God, I think our games took over an hour each just because we had no one to teach us. We were just figuring things out by ourselves. I was like, okay, I've got 4 cards in my hand. Each card can block, pitch, attack, defend, and do an effect if I play it. And then, okay, if I defend with this one and this one, then I can't use this one to attack. And you sort of run that through, every time in your head. So as a beginning player, yeah, there is a lot of information to process. But like anything, practice makes perfect. You get reps in with the hero. And yeah, it's just that best of one. So you're just going against your opponent, and there's a lot of decisions to make every game. So, if I make 90% good decisions, which I'm certainly not at the moment, and Gibbo only makes 75%, I might be a favourite to sort of edge him out depending on the matchup.
How are you guys tackling the importance of scouting in tournaments versus Hoodie's policy of no scouting?
Oh, controversial. I'll let Gibbo field that one.
I haven't been to a tournament in which I've needed to scout yet, but once I do, I will be scouting.
Play to win, boys. Play to win.
Very, very important. Yep. Just sort of ask.
It is
The hard hitting questions.
It is super important. It is the edge. If your opponent knows what variant of a deck you are on, and you don't know what variant a deck that they're on, it is huge. Some matchups it's less relevant, but say for Katsu, for instance, the way I would configure my deck would change depending on whether I thought this was control or aggro Katsu. So I would go with the assumption boarding here that Dan would be on control, because I know that that's what he plays. So it's pretty easy for me in that instance. But if you don't know what they're on, then you pretty much have to hedge your bets. And when you're hedging, your deck gets significantly worse.
Are you saying you've already scouted for this game?
I have. I read Dan's tournament report from Saturday. So.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So, what incentives will you be offering for hiring a scout for the day of the tournaments?
Beer afterwards.
Okay.
Maybe a Palmer too, if you're lucky, depending on if we top 8 or not. Yeah. Any other questions, guys, before we throw over to Gibbo and Dan, just to give us an overview of what the hero is, what it does, what the game plan's trying to do, and what equipment and weapon they've brought to the battle here.
What is the average price of the tournament deck?
I'd probably say
if you were to take what Gibbo said before, where you weren't cutting any corners because you want to win a tournament, how much money are you looking at?
Yeah, I'd probably say it ranges from $500 to $1,000.
Very similar to an expensive standard deck.
Yeah, expensive standard.
Like a fetch based standard deck.
Exactly.
So my deck that I'm playing, the money is here. Well, these 3.
Yeah.
Here, not so much.
Yeah.
The bulk of this deck is commons.
Yeah.
Few rares, and then a few of the majestics, but nothing super expensive outside of Command and Conquer, which is an expensive majestic. But yeah, the money is. This is where the money is. The equipment.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting question too. Go ahead, Ian.
Related to that, then, what is the rotation schedule for these cards? Because there's a big difference between $1,000 standard deck and $1,000 modern deck.
I think we're on the same wavelength there. That was just gonna. I think. Good question, Ian. Trent's point there also triggered the same thought for me, which is Flesh and Blood's got a really interesting rotation policy. So it is a non-rotating game with a caveat. They've introduced something called the Living Legend system, whereby depending on what level of the tournament a certain hero wins, they're going to accrue points towards their Living Legend status. once they reach that threshold of, what's been, I think it's 1,000 point set, and that ranges from, Road to Nationals giving, 6 points, maybe Calling giving 200, maybe Nationals is 200, maybe Worlds is 300. When a hero hits 1,000 points, it's retired and it sort of goes to Valhalla and it enters Living Legend status. So this is an interesting sort of way of introducing rotation, not really but a ban list, I would say, more than rotation to a non-rotating game. And it's also a way of ensuring that, if anything comes out that's super busted and just starts winning, it's just going to phase out by itself. You might have to put up with maybe 1 or 2 miserable seasons of saying, oh, this bloody assassin or this necromancer that they printed, he just keeps winning. It's going to be gone pretty soon. And I think that also opens up, a couple of points. To Trent's point, you might be a bit more willing to invest, 500 to whatever, $1,000 if it's like a super top tier expensive deck. If that hero doesn't have many Living Legend points, or you also know, let's say Katsu gets banned. So Katsu's a warrior. Katsu's a ninja. Katsu's equipment doesn't say Katsu. Doesn't say Katsu headpiece. Doesn't say Katsu. It just says ninja. So if I really like ninja's playstyle, Katsu gets banned. I can just replace him with hopefully another ninja that's in the format at that time. I can still use my Mask of Momentum that I paid $160 for. I can still use my generic Findle Sprint Tunic because I can play that in any deck. I can still use my Breeze Rider boots, right? So I think that is it's a really interesting way of going about it. Obviously, we're still fairly light into the game, so no hero has achieved Living Legend status yet. But yeah, some will get close, and then I might be sad when, like the hero I play, Prism, who's an illusionist, when Prism eventually reaches the shiny gates and gets accepted into Living Legend.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Just been winning much. By that stage, I'm sure that, and LSS have said this, they're going to have options, right? So, I'm going to be able to bring my equipment suite to whoever the next illusionist hero is, right? And be able to leverage it there.
Yeah, so that's interesting then. So equipment basically can't get banned. So for example, Gibbo was saying most of the money in this deck is in 3 of the equipment.
Yeah.
So theoretically, even if the hero gets banned, those cards might not immediately have like a super synergistic hero, but they still are playable.
Yeah.
Exactly. And to that point as well, 2 of these equipment, the ones that are more expensive, I think this one is generic and this one is generic. So they can just actually go in literally any other hero. Would just be the braces where it's like, oh, if Boltyn gets banned, I'm going to have to, play Dorinthia, which is the other hero, or maybe hopefully they bring out another hero in another set. So it's interesting, like, as they increase new sets, they have to strike a balance between giving support to existing classes, because there's going to be a very real threat of, your favorite hero reaching Living Legend, versus we also want to introduce new classes. There's a sort of like a spoiler page in their lore book where they've said, we're going to bring out an alchemist, we're going to bring out a cleric, we're going to bring out a necromancer, we're going to bring out a paladin, right? But if you're just really drip feeding these new classes every set, you don't want to just rush the field with new classes and they've only got one set of support, because it's going to really narrow down the deck building. So sort of what they did with Monarch is they released a new warrior hero in Boltyn. They added a new Brute hero and a new Runeblade hero, and they also added a brand new class, which was the Illusionist, which is the one that I've picked up. So, I've got a pull from Monarch, and then I'm very much hoping that sometime down the track, I'm going to see more support for that class, which can, vary my deck building. Any other burning questions, guys? Or shall we get into some gameplay?
I had a quick question about the stuff with the rotation that you were just talking about there, with the Living Legend stuff. Is that the only way cards can leave? So is it just going to be like the pool of cards gets like ridiculous, and if you know what I'm going to?
There has already been 1 card banned. They can just ban cards if they.
No, but that's like single cards. But then let's say you have like 50 sets that have been released. Is the pool going to be that giant, and they just start banning single cards?
Yeah, it's a good question. As far as I'm aware, Yeah, as far as I'm aware, they don't have a. They want it to be non-rotating. How that actually comes into fruition, like you've said, when you're 5-10 years down the track and your card pool is absolutely massive, and like sort of like how Hearthstone became wild, right? There's just a bunch of really broken strategies in that format. Are they going to ban cards? Are they going to actually, once, because Magic's gone through a similar thing, right, where they've had to segregate into different formats as the game has evolved. I think that down the track there will be some kind of, I'm not sure if it'll be like a standard sort of a block sort of rotation set, but I think it will be very scary when they get if 5 years down the track the game's still going really well, and then they're thinking, wow, this card pool's massive. What do we do now? Do we break into a separate format? Do we create a legacy equivalent? Do we maybe maybe there's a living legend only tournament, which is where all the busted heroes get to bash with each other with the new cards they've acquired over time, right? Who knows?
The biggest thing about that is that there's a big difference between LSS and WotC as well, because LSS is very open to community feedback in terms of how they've operated and how they've kind of implemented things as well. So if something's not working or if something doesn't make sense, they have in the past shown that they're kind of willing to make the necessary changes, which is encouraging from that standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. I think as a sort of a young company, like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I think they've got their heads and their hearts in the right place in terms of they're players that just they created a game not because they slapped an IP on something. They really wanted to make a good card game, and all their decisions are factored around making a good card game that people are going to play in paper. And so hopefully when it comes to those kind of crunch time decisions where they can make the right choice, but who knows? If I had a crystal ball, but only time can tell. But it's been an exciting ride so far, and had a ball playing the game.
Yeah, and the living legend thing, just quickly with that, as far as like you're saying, like they accrue points, and once they get to a certain threshold, then they banned or not banned, but whatever, that retired. Is that something you can follow and then know, like, okay, this card I love, but it's getting close to retiring, so you can start, I guess, either selling your cards because the value is going to go down, or looking for replacements? Is that something you can track?
Yeah, it's all transparent. They've updated that on.
I've put a link in the general.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Joey. Yeah, that's exactly it. So it is. It's all very transparent. It's all traceable. Like you said, if you're playing your ninja deck, which is your Katsu deck, which is the best deck in the format at the moment, and it's creeping up to that 1,000 points, you might want to have the opportunity to I don't want to be the one that gets this one banned, but it's getting close. So I'm gonna sell off my ninja equipment. I'm gonna buy into this alchemist hero that just came out, who's got 0 living legend points because he's a fresh hero. And the way that works is they've stated about living legend that it won't be banned immediately. So once it hits the 1,000, it's going to be banned when the new set comes out. So it at least gives you some other time to bring your deck to the F&M equivalent for a few a last hurrah, look to sell it off. I fully expect down the track there's going to be a living legend format, which will be like sort of like the legacy equivalent, where there's just a bunch of the really powerful old banned cards going at each other, and who knows what that'll be like. But there is a runway there to see what's happening.
To their credit as well, if we look at Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh is another game that doesn't rotate at all, as well. So they've shown, at least they showed for the first probably 10 to 15-ish years, that they were managing to keep the game interesting without having to resort to power creep. Of course, past that, they've resorted to power creep in order to sell more packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a new game with a new system that's relatively unexplored, I would say that there's at least 10 years of designs that they'll probably be able to get through without having to power creep too much.
And especially with the parasitic nature of how everything is tied to a certain class, it really, I guess, closes in the possibilities to an extent, but it also does mean that there is future expansion where they want to release a supplementary set. For what they've done, Welcome to Wraith was a set with 4 melee heroes. Arcane Rising was a set with 4 sort of range arcane magic type heroes. And the third set they released wasn't actually introducing anything new, but it was a supplementary set to boost those 8 existing heroes and add some new heroes in for Blitz. So I really like that approach, and what they did as part of that as well. This is the artwork I showcased in the presentation, Fiendal Spring Tunic. So this was, I think I bought mine for like $270. They reprinted it in Crucible, and I think this is now a $130 or so card, $140 maybe. So yeah, they've said, because there's a collectible element to this too. They're going with the first edition thing, the unlimited runs. So there's definitely a collector's element to this game, but they really have said from the get-go they want decks to be affordable as much as possible. And I think it wasn't at first because there were so many collectors just buying in, first edition. They saw what Logan Paul was doing on YouTube, just hoarding packs, opening things, driving the price up. I think now that sort of the collectible bubble has crashed to it bottomed out to an extent. A lot of these cards are more affordable than they were, say, 6 months ago when I was looking at the game. Trent, did you have something to say earlier when I think I interrupted you?
Yeah, I had a question that it's not so much regarding I suppose it's regarding the game, but it's also regarding the players in the game. Have the people that run this game taken into account or put anything out regarding information, not about banning or just stopping other players who have cheated, say Magic the Gathering from the past? I know that a couple of the world's best players in this have either cheating records or have been accused of it. Is that something that has been addressed?
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I think it's an interesting one because there is definitely, if someone's banned from one card game, they're going to look for a fresh start in another one, right? And you sort of look to blend in, innocuously into a new community. I haven't seen anything publicly about it, but I think it'd be a really good question to pose to them, to be honest. What's their policy on it? Because it is important.
Yeah. Again, this is probably it's just detracting from the presentation, but one of the things that I can see, and you actually spoke about it, was the gap between player skill and the gap between people can really take advantage of that in this game in its early nature comparative to Magic, which is 26 years old. That player skill can be mixed in a couple of different ways, especially if you're playing against somebody who's a sleight of hand, adept, or someone who's just a downright cheater.
Yeah, ends up swapping their arsenal for a card in their hand because, they did it wrong a couple of turns ago and you don't notice. Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I haven't heard any sort of information that they've publicly put out about it, but I think as the game grows, it's something they'll definitely need to address as well, what their stance is, because, if they want in-person play, that is things are pretty face up on digital. I can see what they're doing, but yeah, in person, there's probably more angle shooting, I would say, if possible, in Fab, where someone doesn't announce a trigger, because it is hard to draw additional cards. But yeah, I can see where you can sleight of hand something into your arsenal and swap that around maybe. But no, it's an interesting question.
I do know that there was a incident of cheating recently in America. A TO was accused of cheating in a tournament. And LSS did a full review into it, and he got stripped of his right to host tournaments and whatnot.
Nice. Like to hear that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll do some more questions as we go through the game. But yeah, it's 9 o'clock now, so we spent an hour on the Prezzo and Q&A. So that was awesome, guys. Thanks for that. Gibbo and Dan, maybe a quick 2-minute summary each on what you're playing. Then jump down to the channel, and Chis and I will narrate and commentate and answer some more questions. Maybe we'll go with Gibbo first.
Yeah, cool. So I am playing Sir Boltyn, Breaker of Dawn. He's Light Warrior, as Jono said. Basically, my game plan is to punch Dan in the face as hard as possible every turn. I'm going to do this by throwing as many attacks as I can at him every turn. It is a balance between setting up my turns for big turns, as well as just trying to push through as much damage each turn. So there are a lot of micro decisions there on, do I hold this card for the next turn where I can potentially get more out of it? But yeah, for the most part, you're going to see me throwing cards at Dan and not blocking a whole lot.
Yeah, sweet. Do you want to go over your... go over your equipment, sweet. Just quickly. Yeah.
So there, my weapon of choice is the Raiden Duskbane. So this weapon, it's free to attack with, which is a big up. It attacks with 0, but if I've charged this turn, it gets +3. So Boltyn's main mechanic is charging, so I'll be doing a lot of charging and a lot of attacking for 3 with Raiden. My helmet is the Arcanite Skull Cap. This is just a generic helmet that will block for 2 and then will block for 1 throughout the game. Just blocks, really. That's the main appeal. We've got the Fendel Spring Tunic. This will get me extra resources. My deck really doesn't play off a lot of resources. So having a free resource can let me just explode with a 5-card hand, because I generally only need 1 resource per turn. Sometimes I need 0, but yeah, it just lets you have more explosive turns, and can also block for 1 in a pinch. Brave Forge Braces, once again, really just there for blocking. Its effect does come up sometimes with one
more in like a Dorinthia deck than generally deck, right?
Yeah, it's generally aimed for a Dorinthia, to be in Dorinthia, but it does have some applications in Boltyn, and it also just blocks efficiently. Yeah. And the last card is Snapdragon Scalers, which is just a really efficient way of getting go again. Sometimes in Boltyn, your opponent can make it so you can't get go again off Boltyn's effect. So these just help you continue your turn if your opponent's not cooperating.
Sweet as. Awesome. Thanks, Gibbo. Over to you, Dan.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Is this like a variation of mono red? Is this what the best?
It's funny. It is very aggressive. So mono red in that sense. I wouldn't describe it exactly as mono red, but it is of the mono red variety, I guess. Like, it is just pretty much all out aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over to you, Dan.
Yeah, and so I'm playing Katsu the Wanderer. He is a ninja hero. This variant of Katsu is basically, I play a lot of defense reactions. I absorb a lot of blows, and then I kill them with death by 1,000 cuts of my 2 daggers. The cool thing is with Katsu is it has the ability to fetch me a card out of my deck if a ninja card has hit this turn. I can discard a card for 0 cost and then find one in my deck. The cool thing is about ninja cards is on most ninja cards there's combo text, and each card inside of that combo works from the previous one in the chain. So that sounds confusing, but basically if you line up particular cards in order, 3 cards in order, they will have a more powerful effect. So basically Katsu is trying to kind of use that powerful ability to be able to line up turns where I can use 3 cards in a row that all will buff themselves and do a lot more. Yeah. So my helm in that same manner kind of enables my ability to continue to do that, where if I have hit 3 times in a turn in a chain link, you'll see. So basically what I want to do is hit with my dagger, hit with another dagger, and then hit with another card. And if I hit with my 3rd card, in that chain link, I will draw a card for free. So most players, you'll see, will block one of my daggers to try and stop me from doing that immediately. But this is a very powerful card that's in every single ninja deck, and it will never be taken out. My Spring Tunic just allows me to obviously get a resource, as Gibbo said. My Breaking Scales gives me the abilities to add an extra +1 attack to any combo card when I'm attacking, and it also blocks for 1. The big thing is about Flesh and Blood especially is your equipment's ability to block can make or break a win or a loss, basically. So in this deck I have 2 equipments that block quite efficiently with the Battle Worn text. They can block for 1 and then they get a -1 counter on them, meaning they go to 0, but they still exist on the board instead of breaking. And my Breeze Rider boots in the similar manner can basically give everything with combo go again after a ninja card is hit. So it's a lot of words, but basically I just want to try and dagger them and set up combos after defending a lot.
Awesome job, Dan. Yeah, sometimes Katsu control is affectionately referred to as Ninja Turtle, which you might see in action this game. All right, cool. Yeah, so guys, I might just actually before I ask you to jump into another channel, maybe I'll just ask when you're pitching cards if you can highlight with the dice to see how much you got floating, just so we can track a little bit easier, just so I don't stuff something up. But yeah, other than that, good luck, have fun, and yeah, jump into the channel and let's play.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, what are you thinking, Chiss? Who's going to win this one?
Honestly, I have no idea. I've never seen the matchup before. So I guess with Rhinar's ability, which is it gets, if you've charged, your attacks get +1 if they're blocked by attack actions.
Yeah.
Ninja has a lot of attack actions.
He does. Dan, I guess Dan's variant as well has a lot of defense reactions, so we can see one in hand here.
Yeah, I can't see because I'm watching.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, do you want to just watch me through the stream?
I'll watch the stream.
Yeah, watch me through the stream. So I'm actually not sure who got the play there. Sorry, guys.
I think Dan did.
Dan's looking at it. Dan
did. He's got a counter on his tunic.
Oh, I put a counter on his tunic. Good call. So Dan's actually got a card full of 4 reds here. So 2 of those are defense reactions. One of them is an instant that gains 3 life. So he's probably just going to play the sigil to gain 3 here. And then he probably just comes in with the Whelming Gust Wave for 0 and tries to put one of these defense reactions in his arsenal, I guess. Dan's lost the plot here, I don't know. he's throwing cards on the table. Sorry, a bit laggy. Oh, okay. Maybe it's because I'm recording as well.
But so the general play pattern for turn 1 is because Gibbo's going to draw his whole hand back up at the end of the turn, he wants to block as much as he can.
Yeah.
Because he's just going to get those cards back.
100%.
As you can see, he just snap block that.
Yeah, so what Dan's done here is he's played an instant to gain 3 life. Instant doesn't use an action, so he still has his action point. And then instead of playing this card, because he won't get it back, what he did was he pitched it to the pitch zone, chose to come in with a weapon attack, meaning if the game does go late, he's going to have access to that red Whelming Gust Wave again. So Gibbo drew back up because it was the first turn of the game, so did Dan as the active player. So Gibbo has chosen to play a free card and he's elected to charge, which means if this card connects, it goes into Gibbo's soul. Importantly, as well, because he's charged, it turns on Boltyn's passive ability, which says if you've charged this turn, attacks you control have +1 while defended by an attack action card. Dan actually defended it with a defense reaction card, so he didn't get that buff. So Dan just got to block out that damage, and it's over to his turn. Dan's pitched a blue here. He's ticked his tunic up, and he's pitched a blue. So this is Dan's weapon. It reads, once per turn action, 1 resource attack. If you have a card with 0 cost in your pitch zone, Harmonized Kodachi gains go again. So he came with the Lord of Wind here. Gibbo chose to take the first Kodachi for 1. Dan spent the second resource attacking with the second resource from the blue, and he's coming in for another 1 damage here, which Gibbo takes. So if this third ability hits, Dan's threatening the Mask of Momentum here. So if that connects, he's going to draw a card here. He's coming with a Rising Knee Thrust. Gibbo actually takes the damage. He must really like his hand. What's he got in Arsenal? Oh, he's got a Plunder in Arsenal. Okay, so I guess it's okay to give Control Katsu the card draw, maybe. I'm not sure. So Gibbo leads with a Plunder Run from Arsenal. So the next time, so he's played that, the next attack gets +3, and the next time an attack action hits this turn, he draws a card. He's followed that up with Red Express Lightning, and he's charged a card to play that. This is a 0 cost. So basically, Plunder Run, this card's coming in for 7, or 8 if he blocks with a defense reaction. With an attack action. Which, Dan's playing a control deck. He's actually got a couple of defense reactions here. So he's blocked for 4 and 4. So he's blocked out that 7 damage without buffing up. So that means he can't give it go again, can he? Just with Boltyn's second ability.
Nope, it needs to have a higher attack than its base attack.
Oh, it does, from the Plunder Run.
So this is...
The Plunder Run gave it
+3.
Of course,
+3.
Yeah.
So Gibbo can get rid of a card from his soul to give it go again.
Yeah, so basically the active part of Boltyn reads, banish a card from his soul, and target attack with power greater than its base power gets go again. So that's what he's done here. He's banished the Battlefield Blitz from his soul, and he's choosing to come in with Raiden for 3. If you've charged this turn, Raiden gets +3. Now, the reason why Raiden works so well with Boltyn is because it's always going to be buffed from charge, meaning you're always going to be turning on to Boltyn's ability. And as you can see there, he's been able to give it go again. I think Dan defended for 3 here.
So he took 1 because it gets buffed because it's an attack action card.
Oh, I'm sorry, he hadn't defended below.
Oh no, he's got to do.
Yeah. Oh, he was choosing to sink below. Yeah. So Gibbo's just said, yep, no worries, that's cool, and puts a card in his arsenal. And then it's over to Dan. So Dan's only got 1 card in his hand. So Dan's move, this card actually does okay from the arsenal. So Dan's got a couple of choices. He can pitch that, come in for 2 damage, which he's choosing to do instead of putting it into his arsenal. So he's pitched the blue, 2 resources floating, he's going to come in with a Kadachi for 1. Got a 0 cost in the pitch zone, so he's going to come in with 1 again. Does Gibbo take it?
Interesting.
Looks like he took both.
Yep. There's no reason not to, because he's not risking the mask because he doesn't have a 3rd card in his hand.
That's true, yeah.
So I actually think it would have been better just to arsenal that card and pass the turn.
Yeah, I think so. It's a defense reaction too, so it works from the arsenal. Alright, Gibbo has pitched a blue to come in with a yellow take flight. So he's chosen to charge, so this will naturally have go again. So this is attacking for 3. Because Gibbo's charged this turn, if Dan blocks it with, say, Fluster Fist, which is an attack action, it's going to buff take flight to 4, but it already has go again anyway. So Gibbo's just trying to pressure some damage here, which Dan takes, coming in with Raiden for 3. Does Dan block this? Probably not. He's got a life gain. Yeah, Flick Flack would look alright. If he blocks that, he's going to buff the Raiden up to 1, so take 1 damage, yep. Which I think Dan has realised. Yep, so that gets buffed up. He's giving it go again. Oh, and he uses the 2 last resources to come in with the Bolting Blade for 7. But it looks like... Oh, huge! So what happened here is Gibbo played an attack for 7. Dan pitched 3 to play defense reaction for 7. And then Gibbo came in over the top with... where was it? I'll just get it out for you guys to see. With the Courageous Steel hand, which gave it +3. So... What on turn, that's a victory. It might not seem like much, from a Magic perspective, yeah, big whoop, you did 3 damage. But, a lot of these games are incremental advantage over time, and being able to win the turn cycle and push through 3 damage there was really huge for Gibbo. So, Dan's well and truly on the back foot here. Plays Sigil of Solace to gain 3 life, and pass the turn. So, there's an element of Flesh and Blood where you're on the back foot, and sometimes you have to use your life as a resource to get the tempo back, right? Dan's playing a control deck, so most of the time he's pretty happy to use most of his cards, keep, say, like a blue in hand, and then come in with Kadachi. He just wants to really just death by 1,000 cuts playing that control deck to Gibbo. And Gibbo's really the one trying to present damage and force cards out of Dan's hand. So Dan hasn't...
I think as you play more, you sort of realise that attacking for lots of damage of 1 is better than attacking for a big number. Like attacking for 5 1s is way better than attacking for 5, because I can block 5 with 2 cards, 2 3s, but I can't block 5 1s with 2 3s.
Yes.
So like heaps of little damage adds up very quick in the game.
So yeah, Gibbo's been blocked by a defense reaction here. Dan takes the Raiden damage, and what's Gibbo got in hand? He's got 1 resource floating, so he's probably going to give this go again. He's going to give this go again because Raiden was coming in for 3. Probably use that last resource he's got here to come in with a red cross the line for 5. No, he's chosen not to actually. Gibbo's preferred to... Gibbo wants a 5-card hand. Like he said, he wants big 5-card hands. His Tunic is on 3 next turn, so he's going to want to come in with a really spicy play. So Dan's got some cards in his hand. He's got 3 cards. He's like, alright, I'm going to try and do some damage or chip stuff. He started off with... as Ninja often does, Kadachi for 1. Does Gibbo take this? Gibbo's on lower life. He's looking, I think he's hovering over... No, he decides to take the damage. It's going to be a big turn. Dan's going to come in with a modal, a really good card here, Enlightened Strike. This is a modal card that can do many things. It costs 0, but it's additional cost to play it. Put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. It can either come in for 5 and draw a card, come in for 5 and go again, or come in for 7. And I reckon he chose 7 there. And he did, because Gibbo took it. Does that trigger the mask?
I would think so.
So do all cards have trample, essentially?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything pretty much tramples all, but they call it leak in this game, like leaks over damage. Gibbo chooses to... Is he pitching a red here, or is he using the true resources? No. Okay. So he's pitched a red.
Tunic I mean, not Tunic, sorry. Mask. What is the Mask read? I'm not sure why he didn't draw a card.
Yeah, I thought that was... I think Gibbo took both the
I'm
Kadachis.
guessing he didn't have any more actions, right?
Yeah, but
He wouldn't have had any actions left, but it's still a trigger, so he still would have drawn a card. So he could have drawn in an Arsenal.
Oh, and an Arsenal, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he said he
Or
altered
just
that to
drawn
the
it.
top and didn't want to Arsenal the card, so drawing it off Mask didn't matter.
Okay, sure. So what he's done is draw it, and it kept it in his hand, and then drawn 3.
Yeah.
Sure, he just shortcutted like a prick.
Yeah, fair enough. So interesting, Gibbo's chosen to hang on to this Tunic counter. I wonder why that is. So Gibbo's pitched a red to play his 1 cost cross the line coming in for 5, and he's charged a card here. So, I think I know what he wants to do. He wants to use the Luminous Ascension. I think he wants to Arsenal this V for the Vanguard, doesn't he?
Well, he just gave his weapon go again. His attack go again with his boots.
Oh, okay.
So he's doing something.
So Gibbo comes into 5, and now he's played a really powerful card here. Until the end of turn, weapons you control get +1. If this hits, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a light card, put it into your soul and gain 1, otherwise put it to the bottom of the deck. If you've charged this turn, you may attack an additional time with each weapon that this turn. So basically, Raiden's going to be coming in for 4, and then 4 again, and he's got an on-hit trigger to maybe gain him a life and fuel his soul. And then he's going to put one of the most powerful cards in his deck into his arsenal and set up for a big 5-card turn next hand. Dan's blocked this out for...
5, right?
5.
Yeah.
He's given it... Gibbo's just given it go again there by putting a card from banishing a card from Soul. Comes in with Raiden again. You can attack another time this turn because of Luminous Ascension. Coming in for 4, what's Dan got in hand? He's got a 3 block. And he has the ability to block it for 7. You don't really want to overblock that much. It's not that efficient. But then again, Gibbo doesn't really have any big attacks aside from the Bolting Blade, so maybe Dan will just pitch a blue and then use the Unmovable to block this out. And then on his turn he'll go...
What he should do is block 3, take 2.
Yeah.
And then on his turn, pitch the blue, attack with both Kadachis, and Arsenal Unmovable. Which I think is what he's doing.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay, so it looks like he's taken the damage. Yeah, as I said, Gibbo's played one of the most powerful cards into his arsenal here. And Dan's turn is just going to be pitch his blue, come in with Darchi, presenting 2 damage here. And then he's going to put a very powerful defense reaction into his arsenal, and Unmovable as a defense reaction actually gets a benefit from being in the arsenal. It gets a bonus +1. Not that relevant against Gibbo's deck. Well, Gibbo actually has drawn a card that attacks for 7 here, so maybe it will line up really well for Dan. Gibbo chooses to block the second Kadachi, really afraid of a 0-cost ninja card, of which there are very many. So, this is Gibbo's big 5-card turn. How does the rest of his hand look? Yep, he starts off with the V for the Vanguard. I think he's going to be using the Tunic counter to pay for this. Yeah. Okay, so V for the Vanguard reads, as additional cost to play it, you can charge your soul any number of times. Normally Boltyn cards just charge 1 card at a time. Attacks you control in this combat chain, including V for the Vanguard, get +1 for each light card charged this way. So let's see how many cards Gibbo chooses to put down.
He wants to charge twice for the bolt in his hand. The card.
He charges 3 times.
Okay, he's gone 3 times.
Wow, so this is going to be a really big damage turn. So V the Vanguard's coming in for 6 now. 7 if Dan blocks with... Dan's really lucky. Dan's got the Unmovable in Arsenal, so it's going to line up really well against this free Bolting Blade. So essentially it's going to be 6 damage from the V, leaking whatever he chooses to block with. Then the Raidens, he's going to give that go again. And then the Raiden's going to come in for 6 as well, because he's charged 3. He's going to give that go again, and he's going to come in with Bolting Blade for 10. So, and that's without blocks. This is a pretty massive turn. Dan chooses to use Unmovable here, which... he didn't have the blue to pay for it. Oh, it was from Arsenal. Why did he choose to... Oh, maybe he wanted to keep the blue in hand for Kadachi next turn, hey?
It's going to hurt.
It's going to be a nasty turn. I think he just took the 6, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I think he just took 6.
Nah, I think he was still at
9. Okay. So yeah, Raiden's coming in for 6, and because of Bolton's passive once again, if he blocks it and Gibbo's charged his turn, which he well and truly has, It's going to get +1, so that rating's going to be coming in for 7. Chooses not to, takes the 6. Gibbo gives it go again, comes in with Bolting Blade for 10, or 11 if he blocks it with the defense reaction. So a really massive, this is one of the turns that Gibbo was talking about, a really massive turn. Dan even had a defense reaction that blocked for 8, and it looks like he's still going to leak 6+ damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So Gibbo has just demanded the whole hand from the control player, and he's leaked over, how much did he leak? 6 plus 5, I think. So leaked over 11 damage over a 3-card. So it was like a 22 damage turn or something. All Dan can do is draw back up. Gibbo gets the reins again. How the deck's looking. 46 cards remaining to Gibbo's 34.
Are you guys showing off here like the main decks which you're most familiar with, or like are currently playing as your main deck, I guess?
For the most, pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. All 3 of us have the deck we're playing. Chis isn't sure which deck he likes the best yet, so he's just been experimenting on Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
Basically, play everything.
Yeah, he's been playing everything.
What happens if you run out of cards in your deck?
Nothing. The game goes on.
The game goes on.
The general pattern is you would keep cards to pitch for your weapon, and you would just use your weapon until either you die or they die. Because pitch cards go on the bottom of your deck at the end of the turn.
Yeah, so I probably should have mentioned that. So yeah, this is the pitch zone where I'm hovering over this blue take flight. So Gibbo has paid for that. Use 1 resource towards the take flight. So yeah, Boltyn is very card demanding because Boltyn's card go into his soul, and 1 goes into the pitch for the most part. So Boltyn's actually going to fatigue himself more than the other classes for the most part, because he's going into a zone that's not recoverable. And then there's a very much plan for some of these control decks to just fatigue their opponent. Essentially, they'll essentially just block out if they can withstand the damage.
So is the soul essentially exile?
Sort of, yeah. In this instance, it's like so there is actually a banish zone, so there is like an exile zone. So this is graveyard I'm hovering over now, where there's this yellow bolting blade. This is the deck. The blue take flight here is the pitch, so where the resources go, which will go to the bottom of the deck at turn end. And this is the banish zone down the bottom. So Gibbo's fueling his soul, which we're using this zone here. Normally in a real game, they go sort of under your hero like that. But for the purposes of TTS, Gibbo's not using 2 one-handers, so we've just been using it there. And then when Gibbo's using his attack reactions to get go again, he's taking a card out of his soul into banish. So Dan's coming in with 2 Kadachis here. Gibbo chooses to block 1 instance. He can't really get the good value of the 2 blocks against Dan's deck, because Dan's deck just goes attack you for 1, and then presents a threat. So it's a really good threat here. He's coming in with the last of his blue resources for a Torrent of Tempo for 5. If it hits gain go again, I think Gibbo just took it, didn't he?
Do your resources carry over turns?
They don't carry over turns, but they last until the end of the turn.
As in the end of your turn, or the end of, what do you mean?
The end of your turn
cycle.
Yeah. So
either
turn.
The end of the current turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can, you'll see with my deck that I'm going to be playing, I play actually a decent amount on my opponent's turn, so I can keep stuff floating and then make something at the end of the turn.
Right, so you can use resources on your turn, but then they're still there for your opponent's turn as well.
No, they're not. Only for that current turn cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't like the word cycle. For the current turn.
Current turn.
Yeah.
So did Gibbo play that Plunder Run out of Arsenal? I think he did.
Wasn't paying attention.
So I think he played this Plunder Run out of Arsenal, which gives his next thing +3. Ooh. Is he going to draw 2 there? Oh, he did. Really? Dan mustn't draw. He didn't want to contest that. Wow, so that was huge. So because Plunder Run hit, there's a trigger to draw a card. And this Bolt of Courage, if you've charged, it also draws a card. So that was pretty disgusting there. Gibbo just came in for 6 and drew 2 cards, just gassing up again. And as we all know, drawing cards in any card game is disgusting. He's folded up with a red Valiant Thrust because he's charged. He gets +3. He's coming in for 7.
Let that hit.
Yeah,
letting that hit seems wrong.
I mean,
his hand's not even that good.
That's Boltyn is really hard to block effectively because most decks use attack actions. And if you defend Boltyn's attacks with an attack action, you're going to buff it. So all of a sudden, your block 6 from these 2 cards looks pretty ugly when you block 6, it turns that to 7. Gibbo gets his on-hit triggers and draws 2 cards.
I think Gibbo's so far in front at the moment.
I think Gibbo's pretty far in front here. He's a top player.
It seems like there's a lot of on-hit triggers.
In these decks, yes. In my deck, not so much. it really depends on the deck. But yeah, generally, as a rule of thumb, you probably want to be blocking on-hit triggers as opposed to vanilla damage, right?
Yeah, I don't think mine does either. But it is a good point that it's like, it makes sense to save defense reactions for on-hit effects.
Yeah.
It's sort
Whereas
of...
this, for example, is just coming in for 7, which is a lot of vanilla damage, but just vanilla damage.
Yeah, it's like the blade only comes in for 3, so you shouldn't...
This is going to be a massive turn from Gibbo, so... This is probably the winning turn, I think, so... Dan's thinking about throwing his mask, and you know when the ninja player throws their mask, because the mask has blade break, so when you defend with it, it's gone, as opposed to something like Battle Worn, where you just get the -1 counter on it, which is a cool way they've started designing their equipments. There's also another type of thing called Temper, I think, which you can block with it until it's got no block value, and then it's gone, as opposed to just breaking on the first hit like Blade Break does. So Dan's really tanking on this. Dan has just thrown 4 in front of it. So 2 from the mask, 2 from the Surging Strike, which is going to buff Valiant Strike up to 8, which means he took 4.
Doesn't seem good.
Oh, Gibbo, no. Gibbo's playing fast, you know. There's blood in the water. Luminar Ascension's now coming in for 4 here.
What's he...
And then, is he going to finish... Oh, he's not going to be able to finish it off with the Cataclysm, is he? Actually, he might. Depending... So, this is an interesting card. As additional cost to play it, you have to... It's 0 cost, but you have to banish 3 cards from your soul, right? So, you have to give it go again, but then it's going to hit. Oh, it misses. He gets a non-light card in the Command and Conquer, so it's not going to fuel his soul. If he was able to end his turn with Celestial Cataclysm, that's just... I mean, it's already pretty brutal. So instead he uses his last resource on the Braveforge braces. So if you've hit, your next weapon attack gets +1. So this is coming in for 5 or 6 if he blocks.
Lethal.
Yeah, so he's presenting lethal, so it must be defended. Dan's got an instant to gain him 3, so potentially there's some merit to just gaining 3 and taking 5 here. And then, he's going for the double block though. So he's blocking 6, which will buff the Raiden up to 6, so it's going to be a full block. Yep, so he's full blocked that out. Dan's turn's just going to be play this, gain 3 life, stay on the back foot a little bit more. In terms of deck, Gibbo's still got a fair bit of gas left, 26 cards. Dan's got 43 cards left. Dan did choose to play 67 cards, I think, in the matchup to try and fatigue Gibbo. So Dan gained 3. Pressure's on. Gibbo comes in with red take flight. He's got 2 resources floating. I'll put that over for him. And it's natural go again because he's charged. In terms of how Dan's block lines up, he's got a 3 block, a 2 block, a 3 block, and a 3 block. But remember, when you're low life total against Boltyn, it really hurts because everything you block, and like I said, most decks run a lot of attack actions. Yeah, the lower life you are against Boltyn, it's really not good. So Dan's really in the tank here. He's probably looking to see, he's searching through his graveyard right now. He's probably looking to see how many defense reactions he's got left, and I don't think there is too many. So Dan actually double blocks this, blocks it for 5, so it bumps the take flight up to 5, so it blocks it exactly. It had natural go again, so Dan's coming in with, Gibbo's coming in with Raiden for 3 now. If it's blocked again by an attack action, which Gibbo has in hand, it's going to bump it up to 4, he's going to leak a damage. Or he does the resources to come in for Valiant Thrust as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah. Connects for 3, gives it go. Gibbo gives it go again by banishing a card from Soul. Valiant Thrust for 7. Or 8. So Dan's probably going to throw both of these under. The block 6, bump Valiant Thrust under up to 8. He's going to take 2 here. Or he's going to throw away the Tunic. Nah, he's not going to throw. So he takes 2.
I would say this game is basically over, and they're just going through the bases.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm guessing Katsu can't really get a good attack, right? They're always...
Exactly.
So at this point, he's going to have to block with every card every time.
Yeah.
He's hoping to fatigue. That's his only game plan. The only way you can sort of switch tempo is by using your life as a resource, or if your opponent has like an off turn, where you're able to just block a little bit and then come back and put some pressure on. At this point in the game, Dan can't use his life as a resource. He's on 3 and he's leaking damage every turn, and Boltyn just excels when you're low. At the moment, Dan's drawn no... Oh no, he's got a defense reaction. This might be good for him. So if Gibbo presents an attack for 3, Dan will be able to play his yellow Fleet Flag to block for 3, which is a really cool card because it gives the next turn you defend with that's combo +2. So if Gibbo goes wide here, Dan just might be able to block him out with a 2-card hand and then keep 2 to put some pressure on. We'll see how this goes. What's Gibbo got? Gibbo's got a Beacon of Victory. He's got only 1 card in his soul. So I think Gibbo's tanking a little bit because his hand's actually not that great. He's probably just playing a... Maybe, I don't know, this is a weird one because if Dan plays the defense reaction here, that bricks Gibbo's turn. What's he going to do here? He's charged with a Bolt of Courage coming in for 2. Oh, I see. But he does have an attack reaction that's going to be able to buff that up. And then search our card.
Oh, sorry, buff by 2.
He's up to 2. Yeah, it's +X.
If Dan does this right, he shouldn't play Flick Flag. He should not play Flick Flag first.
Yeah, you should play a 3.
He can play his defense reaction in response to his attack reaction. But
that's true.
First, so
he's played it first, coming for 3. So what Gibbo's probably going to do here...
Coming in for 2, right?
Gibbo's coming in for 2. Dan's blocked with the defense reaction for 3. Gibbo's got an attack reaction in hand. Additional cost to play it, banish X. X can't be 0. Target attack gets +X. So he might just choose to buff it up once. Oh, no, he probably wants the card. He probably wants the card draw. Because if Bolt of Courage hits, it's a non-hit trigger. He's going to get a card in his hand. So I think that's what Gibbo's tanking on at the moment. I think he's going to... Oh, he lets it resolve. Interesting.
There was a world where he could have won the game that turn.
So I've just got a question there because I've seen this happen before, like on one of the videos that I've seen. Like, so normally attack reaction, like the attacker has priority to play their reactions first, right? But in this case, did they just shortcut to go to the defense reaction first?
Yeah, he did. That's right. That's a good call. Because he didn't declare any blocks. He just sort of shortcutted it. But they wouldn't have really. They probably were communicating in the Discord channel. Gibbo probably said no reactions. Yeah.
Yep.
Because there might have been a world where he just goes +2 threat and lethal, and then that gives Dan an opportunity to go. Well, actually, no, it's my turn. I have priority now. I'm going to block 3. I only take 1.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Just because I was like, okay, like
exactly.
Would he have had to charge first? Because obviously, if there were no defense reactions, it would have just gone to damage.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Wow. So this is what I talked about. Dan's presenting some, significant damage. Oh, and he's threatening a Command and Conquer 2. That's really good. Really insane card. This is one of the premier generics. Many decks play this card. Defense reactions can't be played to its chain link. If it hits the hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal. This card breaks 5-card hands. It either demands a 2-card block, or they take the 6 life, lose their arsenal card. Really, really good turn here from Dan. Maybe he will be able to swing it around. Gibbo's down to 20 cards in deck. Dan's on 35. Gibbo looks like he's choosing to take the 6 and lose his arsenal card. What was it? Oh, it was the CNC of his own, yeah. I think it's okay. It wasn't really doing that too much for him. So, not bad for Dan. He's able to call some life back, and he's going to Ninja Turtle a little bit now. Dan's drawn another defense reaction here. Gibbo's choosing to play a red take flight. He's probably going to pitch this blue energy potion. No, he's just using the resource from the tunic, charging the energy potion, coming in for 4 with go again. So let's see how Dan wants to block this. 4's a really awkward number. He's probably going to go the tunic for 1, and then probably a yellow flick flack to block out for 4, which looks like exactly what he's doing. I should probably not hover over their cards as well. Maybe I'm telling him the play. But I'm trying to show you guys what he's doing. So Dan blocks this out for 4. Take Flight was charged, so it has natural go again. Let's see what Gibbo does next. Gibbo comes in with Raiden for 3. Now, this is an interesting one because Flick Flack's giving the next card with combo that blocks +2. So if one of these cards has combo, it's going to block for probably 5. It's going to block for 5 this turn. Does Black Cat kick out combo? It does. So Blackout Kick blocks for 5, so it bumps the Raiden up to 4, but because of Flick Black, it blocks to 5. Is Gibber going to give this go again and come in with a... I think he's going to give it go again and come in with... Wait, did Dan take damage? No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't take damage. I think he was just a bit confused. Oh, Gibbo chooses to use Beacon of Victory. How many is going to banish? Because I think it's 4 versus 5 here, right? So if you pump it up to 1... Oh, it's 2. He's pumped it up to 2.
He doesn't get to get the combat trick that gives +3.
I don't think Beacon of Victory can search combat tricks. It can only search actions.
What does it search?
Search for an action card with cost X or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. How much is he charging for? Dan's life total keeps going up and up.
Gotta be, sure.
Yep.
He charged twice.
Yeah, he charged. No, he's saving the V, I think. He's going to finish him off next turn. He's going to try to anyway. Gibbo uses the last instance of his chain link to come in for 4. And Dan's just going to double block this. So it buffs it up to 5, but Dan's blocking for 6. Gibbo ends the turn with the V for the Vanguard. All Dan can do is draw up and pass back. So Gibbo's getting low, but I think he's going to be able to get the job done this turn. Does he actually have a charge card? He's going to be able to come in with a Bolting Blade here, yeah. So he's pitched for 1, and he's probably going to charge. Yeah, so he's pitched his Command Conquer for 1 to play for his V for the Vanguard, buffing the Chain Link by 2 this turn. V the Vanguard's coming in for 5 now. Yep, Gibbo's represented that with 2 dice. Good job, Gibbo.
It's the exact same. It's the exact same line he did before.
Yeah, exactly. Massive turn. He's played this game really well.
The sword.
Yeah. So again, when you're on low life, it's getting rough. So Dan can. Well, he's shortcutted straight to the defense reaction. So he's going to take 1 here. Gibbo's obviously going to use the attack reaction to give go again. Raiden's coming in for 5.
Dan can't survive.
Yeah. Gives it go again, takes 1, and then he comes in for 7, and that's game.
Dan flips the table in outrage.
And that's game.
It was pretty close, even though you'd said I
thought it was over, but it did get closer.
A few turns early.
Like Dan had a bit of
a lot of the times, it feels closer than it actually is.
Yeah.
It's at the point where Gibbo was 10 life up, and he can just go, oh yeah, I take the damage, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so it looks closer than it was, but I do think that was sort of close.
I think that was close. Gibbo had an off turn, which allowed Dan to come in to keep his hand essentially, and then allows him to buy some tempo back.
The CNC turn made it close.
Yeah, definitely.
Outside of that, it wasn't particularly close.
Well, what made it good for Dan was that Dan had a flick flack turn, and he was able to go flick flack into your other thing and keep a 2-card hand, and then come in with Dachi. Sorry, it wasn't Dachi. It was card and then CNC. But I'll let you guys chat about the game for a bit. I'm going to use the bathroom really quickly.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want us to kick us off, Dan?
Yeah. That matchup is pretty dependent on me ensuring that I get effective defensive reactions into my arsenal, as well as being able to keep at least 1 blue card. You have to play around Boltyn in such a way that you need to decide if most of the time it's not worth blocking because they obviously get pumped up +1 attack. So defensive reactions are obviously gold in that matchup. And most of the time I couldn't get to a point where I was arsenaling any card without, trying to at least get pressure. What Boltyn does best is having 5 cards and obviously giving everything go again, or the possibility of giving everything go again. You have to maintain a certain amount of pressure to continue to strip cards out of his hand, or else you're just going to be bombarded and lose really easily to kind of that swing.
From my end of it, the start of the game was a little slow for me. Didn't have particularly good turns early. You were on quite a high life total for a while until I think it was my first V turn. My first V turn, I got to chip in some damage there. And then there was also the Plunder Run.
Yeah, I was very greedy.
Turn, which you took 6 on.
Yeah, I was very greedy.
Surprised.
It was because no defensive reactions in my hand, and blocking out that entire turn.
Well, it ended up being a turn that you were never going to be able to block out because I drew two
Yeah,
cards.
drawing two off that.
I had a
drawing two
Luminar.
off that with Luminar is a mistake. But I was just being greedy.
I think you did a good job of blocking my Luminar attacks. That's pretty important in this matchup, or in every matchup against Boltyn. Really, you want to stop him from hitting with the Luminar weapon hits. So I think you did a pretty good job of that. Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable in that game until the CNC turn. When you CNC'd me, that was where I felt a little uneasy. And I also did finish the game with what 15 cards left.
I was commenting on that. I think the Command and Conquer turn brought down a little bit of tempo, and he was allowed that because he had a flick flack, which let his next card block for 5, and you had a little bit of an off turn. So that allowed Dan to sort of come back into the game a little bit, but I still think by that stage it was just way too low on life. But just how it played out. And like I said, if you're low on life against Boltyn, it's really hard.
I think Dan took too much damage in the middle stages of the game. There was 2 turns there where he elected not to block specific attacks.
Yeah,
it was a turn when you drew 2 cards off a
the Plunder Run,
the Bolt.
Bolt of Courage.
Yeah, that turn was gross.
Yeah.
No, that was a really good exhibition, guys. I think we got to see Boltyn in action, Katsu Control in action too. So thanks for showcasing that. Like I said, we just ran a commentary, I guess, over the top of it and answered some questions throughout. So I guess what I'll do is fiddle around. Do you guys want to delete everything but the life totals and the dice? And then Chis and I will get set up. In the meantime, are there any other questions you guys have? I'll make, what I'll do is I'll make Gibbo Game Master and Gibbo can stream.
Can we have like a 5-minute break?
Yeah, absolutely. 5-minute break, guys. We'll come back at 9:50.
It sounds weird to ask, but I'd rather not miss anything.
Yeah, for sure. We'll come back at 9:50, guys. But I'll be here if you want to ask any questions while we're in the 5-minute waiting. But come back at 9:50, guys, and we'll go to match 2.
Has questions about that game in particular?
With that game, like, assuming players' skills equal and stuff like that, what was like kind of the matchup there? Like, who was favored going into it?
I believe it's roughly 50-50.
Okay.
It's with the thing with Boltyn is actually it's very, I don't know if you played Magic, Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to like a modern Jund deck. It
Yep.
only has like one terrible matchup really, or it doesn't really have many terrible matchups, but most of its games come down to player skill in the end.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say it's very 50-50 in that if you sideboard correctly, you definitely get an edge because there's the 2 different types of Katsu. If you sideboard correctly for the variant of Katsu, you do get like that slight edge.
True. I think that's gonna be like the biggest thing I worry about I mean, obviously this comes again with the reps and stuff like that. My God, like having to think about cutting your 80 card deck down.
It's by far the hardest part of the game that I've encountered so far. I think the hardest part of that though was I was net decking decks like to start with.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what, like Jono said, I didn't know what like game plans they were trying to enact. This list I'm playing, that list I just played, the Boltyn one, I built that myself, so I know what specific cards I want in specific matchups, and that's just come from playtesting. I know what cards shine in what particular matchups.
I also operate a little bit differently because obviously coming from Magic, in your head you're like, I have to get back to this number of 60, but like in that matchup I had 67 cards, right? I took out cards that I knew weren't good against Boltyn, and I left cards that I want to my deck in my deck, and it just came to the number of 67. So like, you can do it both ways. It just however you process it the best, and obviously that matchup is the matchup's the most important thing. So
for the aggressive decks, you want to keep your deck as lean as possible. Because for me, I want to see my powerful cards in any matchup really. But specifically in the control matchups, I need to be constructing powerful turns. So the turns in my deck, specifically around via the Vanguard, around Luminar Ascension, those are the turns I'm trying to construct.
I think you did that pretty well in that game. There was two turns where you went B for the Vanguard, charge 2 to 3 cards, come in with Raided for 6, and then finish off with the Bolting Blade. They're like 20 plus damage turns. They're brutal.
Yeah, I got to have 2 V bolting turns, which is fantastic. And then the plunder runs also aid you to have big... they just really allowed you to have those massive turns with a card like Bolt of Courage, because on hit, draw 2
you're
cards.
double dipping on the on-hit trigger. Gibbo, I'll get you to stream if that's okay. I made you game
no worries.
I think that was definitely a really good game. Like I said, I think it's definitely a player skill game. The more reps, the better. But it's also, it's a card game. There's some variance. In a game like that, you do often see, even in an aggressive deck, you saw
We're talking about variance, are we? Just wait till you see Rhinar.
Oh god,
the king of variance.
Sweet. Chiss is going to be doing some
prediction
fun
that Chiss gets 1 action point every roll this game.
I'm okay with 1. I'll take 1. 1 is better than 0.
1 is better than 0.
You got to be in it to win it. So guys, if you were watching my stream on Discord, switch over now to watch Gibbo's. So Gibbo's going to do the same thing I did last game and just run over sort of just some commentary over the top, and then just highlight the cards and stuff, Gibbo, as they come, and just do that.
At least with
What,
my pace of play, you'll have more time to discuss things.
This is very true.
Very slow.
This is a very fast-paced player. So
Hey man, slow and clean is better than fast and
Get
loose,
ready
man.
for a break next week.
Slow and tight, man. Slow and tight.
Are you playing claws or club?
You'll find out, won't you? It's claws.
Oh.
I'm playing claws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he probably just wants to show you a couple of different options, and then what he's choosing to bring for this particular matchup.
I think it's claws in most matchups.
I think it is too, but yeah.
I'm gonna quickly go to the toilet. I'll be right back.
That's the only time I think you want club in aggro matchups.
On Saturday when I was versing Rhinar, every time he'd swing with it, he would say, "Get romped."
Romped.
Oh, I fucking hate card games, man. I hate them all.
It sounds like something Chopper Reed would say.
Get clubbed. I think I'd say get clubbed a lot. Actually, my favourite line is Arsenal Parsenal.
Arsenal Parsenal.
Oh god. I know I'm gonna use that from
it's a good one
now on as well, but I hate it.
So I guess to fill the gap as well, I'll talk about some of the other heroes. As I said, I really like the fantasy flavor element of it. So the first set was melee heroes. Like I said, there was Ninja and the hero Chiss is playing now, which is the Brute. There's also Dorinthia, who is a warrior, and who's the fourth one on this? Oh, Guardian, big Bravo. There's a hero called the Guardian. He sort of plays he's sort of control, but he plays auras at the same time, which lasts for a little bit on the battlefield and then trigger an effect the next turn. Pretty interesting hero. Next set was Arcane Rising. They had 4 ranged heroes. One of them is a wizard, and I wish we had the player's skill to showcase that today. It's better in Blitz. Wizard is sort of like Magic's Burn. It does direct damage. It doesn't really play attack actions. It does things at instant speeds, plays on its opponent's turn. Really cool deck. Not my style preferentially, but I can definitely see a couple of people in the faction leaning towards Kano.
The interesting, I hate using the word interesting, but the interesting about the wizard is to balance the fact that he plays on both people's turn. He starts with 37 life or something, right? Or 35?
30.
Oh, it's 30. Yeah, so he starts at 30 life.
Yeah, and in Blitz,
that's why he's basically one of the worst heroes.
Yeah, in Blitz he's fantastic though. He's one of the top tier Blitz heroes. Dan actually plays him in Blitz. So maybe it would have been a really good one to showcase just because it's something different. But we are playing Classic Constructed tonight. So yeah, Wizard's really cool. Pretty much burn damage, chain lightnings, buff your spells, fork to lightning to split your damage and do 2 instances of arcane damage. And you can't block this damage. The way that you interact with... I can't showcase it at the moment, unless Gibbo's back, is with...
I've got Skullcap.
Yeah, but Gibbo needs to... if Gibbo's back, he can hover over Starcap. Yeah. Arcane Barrier 3 is the only way that you can interact with that damage. Hold up with the dice, it's a bit frustrating, Dan.
I've got an Arcane 1, here you go.
to prevent an instance of arcane damage. So let's say a bolt was coming at me for 3, and all I had was arcane barrier 1. I could only prevent 1 of that damage, 1 of that 3 damage. Chill with the dice, man.
I gotta get my rolls right. I gotta get my rolls right.
He can't help himself, dude. He's all over the place.
Yeah. So anyway, it's 9:52. So let's get started. I'll go ahead and introduce my hero and the deck I'm playing today. I'll just give it a couple more shuffles for good measure. So I'm playing Prism. Prism is a light illusionist hero. One thing they did in Monarch, as sort of an additional way it's sort of like to complete their game, they added what they call a talent to the heroes going forward. So as you saw before, Gibbo was playing a light warrior, also came from Monarch, whereas Dan was just playing Katsu, who's a warrior from the original set. Going forward, heroes are going to have a talent associated with them, right? So, for example, Dorinthia is just a warrior. She couldn't actually use any of the light warrior cards that Boltyn uses. That card pool is only going to be available to Boltyn and other light warriors in the future. So my hero is Prism. Prism is a light illusionist. Her ability reads, once per turn instant, pay 2 resources, banish a card from her soul, create a Spectral Shield token. Gibbo, can you get me I'll get you a Spectral Shield. Can you hover over the Spectral Shield? This thing is a little aura that stays in the battlefield until it's destroyed. It reads, if my hero would be dealt damage, instead destroy this and prevent 1 damage that source would deal. I'm also looking to leverage these into ways that I can attack, much like a Kadachi that Dan was using Luminaris. So Luminaris reads, during your action phase, illusionist auras you control are weapons with 1 power, and once per turn, attack. So it doesn't seem like a very good way of using an action point, but if you read the second part of Luminaris, whenever there's a card with a yellow strip in your pitch zone, illusionist attacks you control have go again. So as long as I have a yellow resource in my pitch zone, all my illusionist attacks have go again. So I'm going to be using this to try and get a lot of auras onto the battlefield. This version of Prism is one that plays a lot of auras. There's another version of Prism that uses angels and is more beatdown, which is sort of more my style, but I actually think this deck's more powerful and I'm trying to learn this one for Nationals. So that's Luminaris. So what I'm essentially looking to do is play a bunch of auras, poke Chist to death for a bunch of instances of 1, and my auras do annoying things that he has to interact with and kill to get off the battlefield. As soon as you declare an attack on an aura, it's dead. It's an illusion. It's just, but it does force an action point out of Chist to get rid of it, and he's going to be looking to combat that with some of his tricks. Over to the equipment. I've got the Halo of Illumination as my headpiece. It's just the common equipment, but it's very good. I can pay 1 resource, destroy it, put a light card from my hand into my soul, and draw a card. That's really good in combination with the Vestige of Soul, which is my chest piece, which is one of the key parts of the deck. So this card reads, if a card's been put into your hero's soul this turn, whenever I pitch a light card, I get that many resources +1. So it turns my red light pitches into pitch 2, yellows into pitch 3, and blues into pitch 4. Really important, because I've got a lot of important cards I want to cast at a pitch 4, and I'd rather pitch a blue and play that 4 cost out than pitch 2 yellows, right? It's just more card efficient. I'm just playing another common gauntlet here. There is an option for Prism to play a card called Dreamweavers, which prevents my stuff from being popped, but it's not that relevant in this deck style, so I'm just playing a card that I can pitch for a resource and block 2. I've often got with my deck a lot of resources to play with on my opponent's turn. And then I'm going to use the Phantasmal Footsteps, which are actually not great in this matchup either. But essentially, if an angel gets popped, I can, and by popped I mean there's a keyword called Phantasm, and if it's blocked by a card with 6 or more power, it just the chain link fizzles. It doesn't resolve. Footsteps is sort of a way around that. This game, maybe I'm looking to block some Mandible Claws that Chist throws at me, but for the most part, it's not going to do a whole lot, but maybe block for 1 occasionally. My game plan in this matchup is going to be survive Chist's big scary turns. I'm sort of going to be playing a more control role in this matchup and trying to get some interesting things on the battlefield for Chist to make a decision whether he wants to try and race my life total or interact with what I'm trying to do. Over to you, Chist.
Alright, honestly there's not much to say about Rhinar. He's pretty simple. He's a dickhead dumb brute. So the main keyword that he works with is Intimidate, which means your opponent exiles a card from their hand face down, and then at the end phase they get all those cards back. The benefit of this is they can't block. It makes it impossible to block. So my main plan is to just sort of chip away with a few little hits here and there, and then intimidate hopefully 4 times in a turn, and hit him for like 30, and he just dies. Game's over. There are 2 sort of weapon trees that you can sort of go down. The claws, which are higher damage output, but cost more resources. It uses 4 resources to attack with both weapons. Or the club, which is just generically better, but sorry, not generically better. It's less resource hungry, but attacks for more like less. Equipment is skullcap, tunic. Get used to saying this. It's just the best generic equipment around, by far better than everything else, I think. Gambler's gloves.
Go Scarab Skin first.
No, I want to go Gambler's gloves first. So Gambler's gloves lets me re-roll a dice. That's all it does. All right, why would I do that? Scabskins. All right, the best equipment in the game. Not a good dice, I don't think. So once per turn, I roll a dice, and then I get action points equal to half that number rounded down. So if I roll a 1, I get none. My turn's over. Bada bing, bada boom. But if I roll a 6, I get 3. So that is the bread and butter of Rhinar, of Brute, is use the leathers. The leathers are the best thing you have. They win you games. They will absolutely lose you games.
Yeah, Brute really embodies chaos in this game. Just through discarding random cards, but you can
so I was gonna say,
set up
the
your
other key ability of Rhinar is most of his attacks are pretty cheap, but they have the discarded card at random as an additional cost, which will, if it's 6 or more, will trigger Intimidate. So like I said, I can Intimidate 3-4 times, attack for 30, win the game.
Yeah, and to represent Intimidate this game, Chiz is going to... I have a lot of instants to play on his turn, so when Intimidate triggers, Chiz is just going to ask me, can I Intimidate a card from your hand? And then I'll have an opportunity to respond, because my deck plays... I might want to flash out, to use magic terminology, one of my auras onto the battlefield, and then he can proceed to Intimidate.
I guess, looking at matchup specifics, the thing with Prism is that when you attack an aura, it fizzles the attack, so go again doesn't happen, or no card abilities happen. But because I have Scabskin Leathers, I actually gain action points, not go again. So I can like play around that or ignore that sort of effect. And I'm just going to hit him. I'm going to hit him with my claws. He's going to take 30 in 1 turn. It's going to be hard for him to keep up shields. I think I'm pretty favoured, to be honest. So when I lose, it's going to look really good.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. We'll jump down to the channel and yeah, Gibbo and Dan will take it away. Alrighty. My voice is so sore, eh?
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of talking.
Fuck me. I don't usually talk this much at work. Jesus.
Yeah, take a drink.
Cool. Alright, so do you want to do odds or evens?
Yeah, I'll go odds.
Okay. Show some sick dice tricks for the folks.
I mean, we're both going to go... I'm going to go first anyway, and you're going to go second, so it's all good.
True. Yeah, you win, so you go first.
Yep. Draw 4. Put a tunic on.
Interesting.
I hate discarding a card right already. If I discard this card, I lose the
You're
game.
so switched on with your tunic, I'll give you that.
Can I just go off?
I mean, maybe, but I've got free blocks, so...
Not if I intimidate you multiple times.
That's true.
Oh. So I can do this, discard one of these. Oh, it's. I don't think I'm meant to go off, but I don't. I've got this card in my hand already. Maybe I just roll Scabskins and see what happens.
Yeah, go for it. Maybe can you ping it? How do you ping it?
I have no idea. Oh fuck! I'm already in this pickle already. I don't want to play any of my cards. What does this do? This costs that much. So I can go bing bong pop pow. Alright, I'm gonna use this guy.
Maybe shake it to show that you're doing it.
Oh, that shows the eyeball, doesn't it?
That shows the eyeball, yeah.
Yeah, alright, so let's see. I'm gonna roll it 5 times, dude.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
So I have 2 actions.
2 actions. Maybe just represent that in front of Rhinar. Oh wait, I put it away from the pitch zone because it's a bit confusing.
Oh yeah.
Just put it in front of Rhinar. Yeah.
That's where I'm gonna put my cards, dude. So 2 actions means I can go pitch. I really don't want to discard this card. If I discard it, it's so bad. Nah, fuck it. Alright, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pitch Blood Rush. I'm gonna play Savage. Yeah, Savage Feast. You may choose a card for me to discard.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I draw a card and intimidate once.
Yeah, you can intimidate.
Yeah. So I'll flip this one over.
Yep.
This is coming in for 6.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch for 3, 1 float. I'm going to defend with Soul Shield.
Alright, sure. That is fine. So I have 1 resource floating. Sorry, I should have represented that. I've got myself confused.
That's all right.
Resources and actions.
Yeah.
3. I can't even do that. So I can go pitch to 3. Attack with the claw for 3.
Attack with the claw for 3?
Yep.
Yep, I'll block 4.
And then, sure, and then I'll pitch and come in for another 3.
Oh, that was stupid. Yeah, I'll take 3. That was dumb. I should have
Sure.
saved the resource. I didn't think you could go again. Yeah, that's cool.
Your turn. I don't know if that was good or not. I got rid of some good cards.
Yeah, let's find out. Alrighty. Let's go for... Interesting. Take you for 6 go again, -1 to your attacks.
What's this cost? I might. Yeah, I'll block 3.
You block 3?
Take 3.
Take 3?
Yeah.
Yep, so that goes into my soul. So I'll pitch that for 4 now. Use 1 to make a Spectral Shield, come in for 1.
I'll take that.
Spend the last 2, come in with Hell Triumph for 5.
Another try. What's my turn? I'm gonna try something. I'm not convinced it's right. I'm gonna block 3, take 3. Oh,
Yeah.
take 2.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
You may as well deny the on hit.
I'm at
trigger.
lower life. I'll use the skull cap as well.
So you block 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So I don't get that in my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. I'm gonna pitch, smash, and swing for 3.
Pulping doesn't block.
Oh, yeah, popping does block. Good call.
Jesus. Oh. Alright,
Alright, so rewind.
yeah. Well, I can't believe pulping doesn't block. That's the first time I've ever seen that before. I'm a cheat. Sorry.
That's alright. I didn't pick up on it at all.
Yeah, right. I just assumed it was a 3. Ugh, gross. Pulping sucks.
Yeah, I would have assumed block for 3 too.
Oh, that changes everything. Fuck you, Gibbo.
Let me cheat.
Yeah. 3, pitch 1, and do not. I can't do that.
You might have to take an off turn.
Oh, I really wanted to do this. My hand's awkward then. So I can. Alright, I'll take 5, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, you'll go. I'll probably draw my cards.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pitch an attack for 3. Sorry, Tunic as well.
Attack for 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll block 3.
Yeah, you got it. Arsenal pass. I don't have a Boltyn in hand, by the way.
Yeah, sure. My turn, I'm going to pitch for 3 to play Red Prismatic Shield.
Yeah.
I'm then going to pitch a Tome of Divinity to get a yellow in there. Make another one.
Oh, sure.
And attack you for 1 5 times.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. I'll just represent it to the boys, but you've already taken it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. My hand's pretty stacked, I think. Alright, that's... I'm gonna pitch... Oh, I should be at 3 Tunic Cannons, right?
Sure.
Pitch... to play Hair Limb for Limb.
Draw a card, then discard a random card. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me shuffle first.
Yeah, I think you can shuffle with R. Just yeah. Yep, not looking. Tell me to stop. Yeah, okay. I'll just draw a card.
Yep, sure.
Yep. So triggers.
So intimidate.
Yeah, you can intimidate. It's fine.
I don't know. So the next attack is doubled. So I can go pitch, play this, draw, discard. You don't have a card in Arsenal. Yeah, I'm gonna pitch. Oh, let's go the greedier line. 1, 2.
Yeah.
Play pulping.
Yeah.
Draw a card. Shuffle. Pick one.
Yep.
Dang. Intimidate.
And that's intimidate from Rhinar, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually thinking.
Sure.
So it's going for 12?
Yeah.
And we'll have go again. Yeah.
And
okay.
dominate.
And dominate. Okay. Yeah, you can intimidate.
Coming in for 12.
Yeah, I'll block 3.
Yeah.
So take 1. So 3 plus 5. So I'll take 4 and lose all my spectral shields, right?
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't clean up yet. Because I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pitch and come in for 3.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. Your turn. Am I really
Yeah.
getting fucking 26? This is what happens when you draw cards that can't block.
I can come with Yellow Herald of Triumph, 1 floating.
Going for 6.
Yeah, 6 minus 1 to your 6s. Oh, to anything.
Yeah. I don't want this in my hand, so I can go this, get a card, discard a card, so I can guarantee hit that. Let me just make sure I don't have another one. Yeah, I can do that. So yeah, I'm gonna block 3 of it. Coming for 6. Maybe I block. No, I can't block enough to stop it. Yeah, I'll block 3.
Block 3? Yeah, so you take 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Goes into my soul. I'm just going to ask for a pass.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to... I guess there's a world where it fucks up. I mean, that's the way it be sometimes, I guess. This costs... Yeah. So I'm going to play Sand Sketch Plane.
Sand Sketch Plane. Search your deck for a card, put it into your hand, discard a random card, then shuffle your deck. This is for free. I'll say.
I'm assuming I discard a 6, cap 1, 2, 3.
Search every card, put it in your hand, discard a random card, then shuffle your deck. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Search. I'm gonna get this card. Put it in my hand. Shuffle my deck.
Yep.
Shuffle my hand. Big card, dude.
A fucking beast within.
Loser. So intimidate trigger and then a beast within trigger.
Fuck, action points are so much more annoying than
Oh yeah, they're so much better than going in.
intimidate.
Oh, that turn could have been so bad if you had hit the right card.
This is rough.
Get intimidated, dude. Let me kill your shields before you buy them.
I'm gonna bring out Genesis in response.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
Intimidate.
you can intimidate.
Alright, and then Beast Within.
Yep.
That's a bit of lag.
Yeah, I think you guys have high ping. Should hopefully, yeah, it should. Hopefully it's settled. Yeah, it's settled now. Settled now.
I've attempted. Oh, here we go. So I take 1, and that goes to the bin, I think.
You.
Banish your top card, lose 1 life. Oh no, okay.
It has 6 or more. Put it into your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next card. Oh my god. Next card. This game actually sucks, dude. Next card.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Yahoo!
You still take a damage though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I should represent my action points.
Yep.
I've got 2. I'll pitch the big horn you just saw.
Yep.
Sorry, let's represent this better. Use 1 of it to play Savage Feast, attack you. Discard a card, which will be a Beast Within.
Yeah.
In my hand. Intimidate trigger.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the other card, I guess. Then let's do Beast Within. Boltyn goes to hand.
Yep.
Take a damage. And then I draw a card from Savage Feast.
Yep.
Draw a card. And then, this is coming at you for 6.
Yeah, no box.
Yeah. So we can clean that up. Do I have 1 floating? I do have 1 floating. Oh, that works out so fucking well. I'll use my pulping to go to 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll claw the Genesis.
Call the Genesis?
Yeah.
Yep. Genesis dice.
Oh, I think I'll pass.
Okay.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm going to make a Spectral Shield and take it for 1.
Yep. I will most likely take 1. Let me have a look at my hand. Is my tunic on? Oh, I should. Oh, fuck, I don't know. What tunic's on. Fuck. Play that. Pitch that. Discard 1 of these. That's fine. I'll take 1.
Yeah, no worries. I'll ask him what pass.
Yeah. So I definitely don't even remember my 20th this time. I'm going to start with a rampaging beatdown.
In response. Play an Archive Sentinel. You have to attack that.
Yeah, it's fine. I can just
Yeah, so you can intimidate me. It's fine.
Yeah, sure. Hmm.
Do you know I can also respond to Tunic counter?
It makes sense.
Yeah, but you just would be pretty ballsy to do that in the dark.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna use my scab skins.
Okay. But you have to attack this, by the way.
Yeah, but if I've got 2 actions, I can attack it and attack you, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, yeah.
I keep forgetting it just bricks go again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah, 2 actions.
Oh, that was a 6. 2 actions. Let's pitch to 2. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think that is the right line.
Bricks your barraging beat down there. That's good.
Well, it doesn't actually. Oh, it does, because it's next brute attack.
Yeah, next brute attack, yeah. Includes your weapons.
Well, I'll pitch for 2 and I'll attack you.
You can't attack me.
Oh, no, I have to target it, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll attack the Archive then.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I will, with my second action, so I've got nothing floating, I will pitch, and attack you with the claws.
For?
Just 3.
3. Just looking at my hand.
It could have been another line with the card in my arsenal, I don't know. But I think that's fine.
Yeah, I'll block 3.
So you're going to pitch and block.
Yeah.
And then the shield takes... Yeah, sure.
Yeah, shield lives.
Yep. Wait, does... Oh, sure. Yeah, I didn't understand. I was...
That's cool. My turn?
Yeah, I think it was the other blade break cards. Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'll pitch to make a shield, create a spectral shield, take you for 1.
Fuck my life, man. One's fine.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah, one's fine.
Yep, you'll go.
I don't know how to play this turn. So 1, 2, 3. I'll have 4 cards. Fuck my life, man. I'm gonna go for it, I think. Maybe I can wait one more turn. It's so much better if I wait one turn. I think it's better if I wait one more turn. I'm going to use my leathers again.
Sure.
Whoa, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, 2 actions.
Yeah. Just, yeah.
Pitch. Pitch. Attack with a claw.
Yeah. Actually, I guess it still stays at 2, doesn't it? Actually, no, it does use the action point, but it gets go again.
Yeah, it uses the action point, yeah. It doesn't even have go again anyway.
That's fine. Block 3.
Sure. And I'm going to pitch, attack with claw. I drew all reds, man.
Drew all reds, yeah, that's why I like to hear that.
Yeah, that's why I got
I'm going to...
You have a bit of a hand.
Interesting, what can I do? Lose my spectral shields, what does that gain me? It gets me attack and an arsenal. Yeah, I'm going to take one and lose my speckies.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to pass.
Yeah. My turn's going to be... Techie for 5. 1 floating. -1 to your attacks.
Very bad at this game. Whatever, that's irrelevant. Alright, so I'm gonna block 5.
Block 5? Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Tunic goes up to 3 too.
Oh, I thought I did, sorry.
That's
it's not very good. Pitch. If I go Scabskins, I can go pitch, play, discard. Yeah, I'll go Scabskins again. Fuck
yeah,
me
sure.
all the way. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, that is the dice. Yeah. Alright. No, where's the big dice? I like the big dice.
Sure.
Yeah, jeez. Alright, 5 rolls. Let's see. 1.
You can spam it a little bit so you don't get those circumstances where it drops.
3. I don't know. 4. 5.
Yeah. You gonna pop the gloves?
I think I have to.
I think it's a pretty key turn, yeah.
Yeah, I can't not do anything. You got 4 cards, so you got a full grip, no shot. Alright, let's go again.
Yeah.
Alright. 5 more rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so I have 1 action.
Yeah.
Which means I just go back to the first play, which is pitch, play, discard. Yeah, sure. Pitch, play, discard my only card.
Yeah.
It's coming for 7.
Coming for 7.
No intimidates or nothing.
Yeah, no box. Take 7.
Sure. Your turn.
Yeah, and your turn I'm gonna flush in Genesis by playing let's see. By going paying 4?
Yep.
Yep, so start of turn I'm going to put a Held into play. What's the order? I don't think it matters. So create a spectral shield and draw a card.
Yep. Yep.
And then going to play a Merciful Retribution because a card into the soul with a blue.
Yep.
And then I'm going to attack you for 1.
Yeah, take 1.
Yeah.
My turn, right?
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, you do. What's the best way to do this? How do I sequence this right? Like an energy potion, I hate the card.
That's resources.
If I discard energy potion, I lose the game. 25%, man. 75% of the time it works all of the time.
Let's get it.
Alright, I'm gonna play Sand Sketch Plan. Well, I think. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure I have another
Beast Within.
card I want. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one Beast Within left. In there.
You got 2 in your graveyard.
Yeah, there should be 3. I'm gonna play Sand Sketch Plan.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'll get this card that I don't have to really do. I'm gonna shuffle my hand and I hope I don't lose the game.
Yep.
Big card.
Okay.
Woo! Alright, 2 actions.
2 actions, yep.
Pitch Energy Potion.
Yep. 3 resources.
Gotta be, yeah. It's not getting any better than this. I will use one of them to play Blood Rush Ballet. We can get this off, we don't need this anymore.
Play Blood Rush Bellow. Yep, and
so I lose an action, but it has go again, so I'll still have 2.
So I discard a card.
Oh, you suck, dude. So I think I draw first, right? I don't know if it matters.
I'm not sure what the sequencing is.
I'll draw first.
I think you draw first because it's resolving Blood Rush Bellow.
Yeah. So I'll draw 2. And then we will resolve Beast Within. Sure,
Yeah,
so
anyways, like, yeah.
Alright, let's see what we can do with this. I haven't intimidate. Oh, I also intimidate you, sorry.
You intimidate me off the Beast Within?
Yeah, off the discard from the Beast Within.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so we still have 2 actions left. This is resolved. What do we do with our actions? Oh, I still have 2 resources. That's so many. 5 resources. We can go 1, 2, 3. Alright, I'm gonna play Pack Hunt.
Yeah.
Attacking you, Intimidate.
Go for it.
This is coming in for 8.
8 at me?
Yeah.
Hmm. 8 at me. I'm going to take 7 and lose the Spectral Shield.
Sure.
And then you take 1 for the Merciful.
Yep. So we can go... Pitch. Maybe I messed this turn up. Maybe I could have done more. pitch,
Yep.
and then use the tunic to claw you for 5.
Claw me for 5.
Yeah.
I'll block 2.
Okay.
Take 3.
Yep. I'm gonna pitch and rile up you for 6, 7, 8, 9.
Rile at me for 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of the +2 and then the +1. So I think I'm just dead here. So you're coming at me for 9. I can go that.
Yeah, I actually don't think I sequenced that turn right, which is sort of crazy that it's still... Blood Rush Shallow is such a good card.
Yeah.
Sorry, think it out.
So I can't even use the Halo because I need another card in hand. Could make a Spectral Shield, but then I can't pay for the thing, so... GG!
Yeah, it is dead. Oh. Blood Rush Bellow. I mean, that's Rhinar, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just can't block. Alright, we'll jump back.
Yeah, especially with auras in hand.
I'd be heart shaken. I thought I was losing, to be honest, until I Blood Rush Bellow did that turn.
Yeah, I really wanted to... I think that was a pivotal turn. We'll go discuss it with the boys anyway.
I mean, I was sitting on it for ages.
Yeah.
I was in my arsenal since like turn 3 or 4. Alright, we'll jump back, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I messed
Great
up.
game. Great game, guys.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That was actually really impressive.
I thought I was ahead. I think I was ahead.
I
but-
do it.
You were ahead. That game was super swingy both ways.
Yeah. Like, there was the turn when I had Blood Rush Bellow in Arsenal and I wanted to play it and I drew 4 reds.
Yeah,
And I wasn't sure if I was meant to go for it or not.
I'm glad you didn't.
And you would
Yeah,
have been
I
on.
took the pitch line.
You would have been on 3 on your tunic too if you remembered it.
You missed
Yeah,
the
I
tunic
remember
trigger.
forgetting my tunic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember asking gun armor.
But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I totally. I like the play out of the Retribution and the Genesis just to represent, you know, just come and swing at these type thing.
Yeah, I totally
I
ignored
like that
it
a
with
lot.
Case, dude. I'm hitting for
But
3.
yeah,
Yeah,
It was a fantastic decision because it was one of those interesting ones where Jono's hand actually just didn't defend at all. So, going for the face really was
So, in
right
my
call.
head, I was like, I'll attack twice, and then I will kill the Genesis with the last card.
Yeah.
And Jono was like, go to 6, and I was like, yeah, I was going to hit it for 9, I think.
Yeah, I really needed like
it was
an
an
Arclight
interesting
Sentinel that turn would have snapped off the Arclight Sentinel, the one that forces the attack. It's not that good against Go Again.
The turn,
Sorry, not Go Again, action points.
the extra action points.
Turn.
The turn where you arc-lighted was like that was a good turning point for you, let you get back into the game.
Yeah, it was a good Arclight turn. I think I had an interesting decision early as well. I had a Tome of Divinity, which is a fantastic card in this deck, and I actually pitched it to push 5 damage with things, which I kind of liked. Of course, it's hard to pitch that card because that's a fantastic card in the arsenal that gets you good card advantage and turns on the Vestige when you activate it with the Halo. But I really wanted to, because I had the Spectral Shield the turn before. I made 3 Spectral Shields with Prismatic Shield. And I really wanted to push damage, so I got to push 5 damage there, have 5 shields on board. I thought that was better than just poking for 1 and putting the thing in the arsenal. I don't know though. It's one of the things about Fab. There's like, you go over like one decision in your head, or many decisions, so. Yeah, but hopefully
I'm not convinced I played that last turn to the best. There's probably more damage in that turn. I don't think I played it right.
I think you pivoted halfway through the turn and realized you could kill him.
Yeah. I still didn't realize I could kill him until I played the last card, to be honest.
Yeah, when you intimidated me, my hand was just a block 2 and a block nothing, so I was in big trouble.
Yeah.
I had to hope that you
looked so bad in that scenario, man.
Yeah. I had to hope that
It was also like
respected these, but yeah, you just identified that you could just kill me.
I was like, because I had the hand that had 2 non-6 cards in it. And I was like, man, if I hit the potion here, this game's over. Like, I just lose on this one.
Yeah, the game was actually over if you hit the potion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hit the 0, I hit the 1.
Yeah, I think that game was a really good showcase of the craziness of Brute. Just high rolled a couple of scab skins, got some extra actions against me. Low rolled, had to pop the gloves to save himself, which I think he needed to that turn.
Definitely.
And then there's circumstances where he has to go for it, and if I pick right card out of his hand, it just bricks his turn. So Brute is very, very very chaotic, but really fun playstyle. And hopefully you guys got to see something different from my deck as well. Not really playing all that many attack actions. Just I deliberately pitched a lot of my angels that weren't Herald of Triumph. Because Herald of Triumph is really good against decks with a lot of 6-power cards because it turns them into 5-power cards. So it allows me to get some damage in with an attack action, which I don't normally play in this deck. But when your hand cycle lines up that you need to attack with an angel because you want to leverage all the cards that are in your hand, sometimes you just go attack with an angel, make a Spectral Shield, put a card in Arsenal. But yeah, I think it was a pretty cool match.
Yeah. It was good. Very swingy, which was, made for a good...
Yeah, interesting watch. Hopefully you guys got to see some cool different playstyles. So I guess that was the showcase, guys. We got to see, learn a little bit about the game, see Gibbo and Dan come in with a couple of cool decks as well, aggro versus control, and then Chis and I showcasing some other of the unique strategies in this game as well, where you can do a lot of really interesting and cool things together in the game. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy that. We might close the session out with any questions. It can be about the games themselves, or maybe just in general.
I was going to ask where you're going to put the recording.
Oh, good question. I might upload it on YouTube. I'm going to put together a Flesh and Blood sort of podcast, but it's going to be like more interview-esque. Like I'm just going to bring people in to interview them more than anything, because I don't claim to be like an expert or anything, so I really want to get other people who know what they're talking about on the pod and do that. So if I set up that channel, I'll put it there. Otherwise, I don't know, is there like a Dropbox equivalent for big files on the internet or something? I don't know.
Just the
You can always put
Google
up
Drive or something.
Yeah. Either that, or you can still upload it to YouTube but make it unlisted or something like that.
Yeah, and just share the link with people. Yeah. No, that's a good idea. I'll definitely look to do that. I need to look into getting some free editing software as well, just to trim parts off the front and whatnot. But I'll check OBS. Hopefully it's still recording. Yes, it is still recording. 2 hours 42 minutes. Brilliant. Cool. So I'll look to share that with you guys.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, guys.
I actually had a couple questions as well, which I remembered as I was going along. So the first one was, at the moment, because it's still a new game and stuff like that, I'm finding that card prices and stuff vary pretty wildly between place to place. Is there a place that you generally buy from at the moment? Or do you kind of just shop around?
That's a good question. I think in general...
I've heard of this store called the Wolfpack. It's pretty good.
I can probably field this as I
go for it, man.
Keep track of it a lot. There's a few of the New Zealand-based stores that are quite competitively priced. One is Fab Armory, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Card Merchant also has cards, but I think they're a bit more expensive. There's also the Facebook group, which is fantastic. You've got a lot of people on the Facebook group, the Oceania trade group, that they work out of stores, but they've got all their cards listed up on there. And those prices are fairly competitive to shop around, because the prices do vary quite wildly. It's quite odd. Some people will be selling a card for $5, and then someone else will be trying to sell the same card for $25. So, best advice is to shop around. You will find bargains, and the Facebook group's probably your best bet for finding those bargains.
I do hear though as well, Gibbo, there's a cool new store that's going to be opening up soon. So maybe they'll be stocking some Flesh and Blood singles.
I've heard a bit of a rumor about that.
If you're not sure, Joey. Gibbo and Trent are opening a store. in Melbourne CBD as soon as possible, along with a few other guys in the TCG and Magic communities. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're gonna.
So we will be running a lot of Flesh and Blood and stocking a lot of Flesh and Blood singles, and yeah, we will be pricing them as competitively as we can.
That's a good opportunity, given that basically all of the card game stores in the CBD got nuked.
Yep. There is no card game store.
Yeah, it's only Necro cards, which is just more on the Japanese side of the card game scene. So yeah, cool. Yeah.
So it's exciting. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Hopefully we get out of lockdown at some stage. Soon and
no Durgans allowed.
What?
We can have one though. We can have one.
Okay, just one. All right, shotgun.
Is that Jis or is that going to be Dogan?
Oh no!
Especially Jis. I was like, Jis is playing a Dogan deck. I like it.
Oh yeah. I guess the other question I had was, is there a good website that you'd recommend for like reading, like research, reading, and stuff like that?
I do have a resource link in the pack. I didn't actually get to that part, but yeah, I'll amend it to add a couple of good resources for like reading articles. I'll link the main website. I'll link the deck builder / card database as well, so you can fiddle around.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I said, it's pretty likely that you know how like in the concept of Dota and League where you find a hero and you really like it and you play it a lot. Like I ended up doing that with Puck in Dota. And I did it. I think you get older, you get a little bit more comfy on your play styles. That's why I really like Flesh and Blood. I'm pretty keen to stick to Illusionist, but Archer also tickles my fancy as well. And there's a new Archer coming out in the next set. So yeah, you get plenty of resources to read about those cards and how they play. And then there's I can recommend a couple of good YouTube channels as well.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. I'll chuck them in the resources slide.
Yep.
So
some great podcasts as well for podcast listeners out there.
Yeah, definitely.
We can throw them.
Cool. Any other questions, guys? Hell yeah. Cool. We might wrap it up there, guys. I'll stop the recording here. So thanks very much for coming along tonight. Hopefully you had a good time. You knew nothing about the game, and you came in just to spend a Tuesday night, or you came in just with a little bit of curiosity and left with some more information about the game and had some fun. So yeah, thanks very much, and thanks to Gibbo, Dan, and Chis for helping me run tonight. I appreciate it, guys.